America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. I'd like to make an announcement that this meeting is being recorded to aid in preparation of the minutes. Number one item is reorganization, and I'm going to move that on down the list a tad further. We have minutes to approve. On January 2nd, Susan, I did notice something on page 2.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, the 5th line.
Okay.
It says past and previous owners. I think they wanted to say present and previous owners there. Am I correct?
Okay.
Anybody have any other corrections?
I'll make a motion that the January 2nd and 11 minutes be approved subject to correction.
And the 14th?
The 14th, I believe.
Sorry, I was going by the
Yes, the
agenda.
14th.
Yeah, 14th.
14th. 2nd and 14th.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any further comments, discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I will abstain from the voting on the 14th. I was not there.
Well, okay.
All right.
All right. Now, we still have another one to go. There's
Yeah.
a correction to the February 5th minutes, or December 5th. Chairman of the Board of Supervisors brought it to our attention, and I went back and listened to it, and what he said was the church on State Route 849, and I wrote Cornerstone. Because, you know, what do I know? So I have gone back, I'll make the we need to make that correction that it really was Otterbein Church. And we'll put it in this month's minutes, and then I'll just attach a note to the meeting packet that says see February 4. Anyway, we'll get it corrected, but it has to be corrected at this meeting. I can't go back and change those minutes. So I need a motion for that. And I'm going to just change the word Cornerstone Church to Otterbein Church.
You hear a motion to make that change?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Mr. Holman, Chairman Holman, I'm going to take you ahead of everybody else here because you got an appointment you got to get to.
Yes.
And for those of you who were on the agenda, I do apologize for this.
I object.
Mr. Chairman, after looking at the minutes, and some of it may be in error the way I presented it that night, I would like to remark on the minutes there and ask for a correction, or at least to set the record straight, that the night I made the presentation in regards to that was, it indicates, it says PTS Penn Township Supervisor. There was no meeting of a Board of Supervisors on that night of the meeting that I was referring to. That was a meeting that was requested by Mr. Morrison's attorney, Mr. Bunt. Present at that meeting down the hall to room prior to a meeting, because it wasn't advertised and they had time constraints, it was Mr. Wagner, myself, Bill Bunt, Mr. Mellon, and Mr. Morrison. The issue not being as much with the agreement with this authority, but brought it to the attention the authority had granted him had got to the point where they got an agreement on that, and Mr. Morrison had himself in a difficult situation where he built a building without the proper permits and no occupancy, and the township was working on getting over that, and he needed to move. So to move, he got an agreement, and the big thing was get your module in. And the module has now been sent to DEP. So I want it for the records because, as it indicates, PTS, on which I refer to as Penn Township Supervisors, there was no meeting advertised for a special meeting like that. Therefore, I wanted to be clear, we broke no sunshine laws or we stepped out of no bounds. That was a private meeting which I brought the information back to the supervisors before this board. And in that meeting, Mr. Morrison did agree to a time frame to have it completed, which we also at last meeting agreed to a 6-month as a board of supervisors from the time he gets his module back to have that completed. So that's the only thing I want that I'm asking to change. There was no meeting of 3 supervisors. And the meeting that was at the request of Mr. Bunt to try to settle that issue. So if that, why, I'd ask that to be corrected, and I'm fine with everything else.
Okay, Elmer, would you like to change your motion or add to your motion that it's the same thing, we're changing it
I
from?
think that's my line. But go ahead.
No,
No.
go ahead.
Would you like to amend your motion?
I'll amend the motion. What did I say?
Well, see, that's why
Yeah, I understand.
I was going to, on the motion, it says it was a meeting attended by the PTS. I'm going to delete the PTS and put down Rock Morrison, it's the Chairman Holman, the supervisor's solicitor, Rich Wagner. Mr. Morrison's solicitor was there, so was Mr. Morrison's engineer. That doesn't need to be changed. The only thing I need to get rid of is PTS and put in Chairman Holman and Rich Wagner. Okay, is that all right?
You want to change your second?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion from the authority? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for a quick cup of coffee. And evening, Dennis.
Hope things go well for you. Now we go back to the agenda. Mike, you're up.
I don't know if I should be up or you should be up or exactly where in the heck to even start with this, to be honest with the board.
All right, Mike is here in response to our the meeting that we had with DEP down in Coven regarding the connection of his wastewater treatment facility down there. And, what I'd like to do in order to keep moving this thing forward so we don't eat up a whole bunch of meeting time is to set up meetings like a committee meeting with 2 members of the authority and Mike and your partners or whoever you want to get down there, so we can discuss.
Plus the engineer, our engineer.
Plus our engineer, so we can discuss what needs to be done down there and how we need to do it and how we're going to address it. Mike's looking for some relief, and there are some areas, some things down there that we have done in the past that we could probably do again to relieve some of this cost from him. Rights away being one thing, and
Or other facilities inhabited down there.
That's another thing you'd have to talk with them about to find out exactly how many EDUs, how many buildings are actually being used, how many he's willing to take offline, and there's a number of ways that we can look at.
I do want to briefly address some of the things we
Right.
talked about. First of all, it would appear, and correct me if I'm off base here, the only person I've spoken to so far is Sam and DEP. So for any of the rest of you that aren't familiar with what went on, it would appear to me, and Sam, please correct me if I missed something, that the DEP has mandated that you, in layman's terms, extend the sewer down through there, and in turn, the township has demanded of me that I hook to it, to cut it down to its complete base level. Is that about a fair statement, Sam?
That's just about it, yeah.
Okay. That being said, there's lots of little caveats and things that go into this whole thing, because I don't know why I wasn't made aware of this some years ago. I'm being told that the township was well aware of it years ago before I ever even owned the property. Whether or not that's accurate, I don't know. I'm not claiming that it's accurate. That being said, I'm all for trying to hook up to the sewer, get rid of the plant. It's a pain in my behind. It's expensive. Da-da-da-da-da-da. So, as I discussed with Sam down there that day, I certainly want to try to move forward with this in an amicable fashion and try to see what we can do. That being said, you know, is it one hookup? Is it 18 hookups? Is in question. That's probably something we talk about in the committee or whatever that Sam's discussing. You know, is it an EDU charge? Is it a per unit charge? There's got to be some sort of middle of the ground thing. I've not had much time to do too much research since our meeting. It was only about a week ago. Is that about accurate? It's a week or a week? I don't really think there's any other thing that fits in. There's no apartment buildings up and down the road. There's no rental properties kind of like I'm dealing with. An EDU is based on a gallonage thing as opposed to a unit thing, and so I think there might be some discussion that needs to take place in, is this a X number of EDUs or X number of units situation?
That's the same thing.
Well,
EDUs and units are the same thing.
Well, I mean, once again, this has been pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I got the DEP telling, well, an EDU is an amount of gallons, and just for example, you know, I have a house that's a large house that's got a lot of people living in it that probably uses the same amount of water as the building that sits next to it that has 6 units in it, but it doesn't use any more water, which wouldn't produce any more sewer. So these are all questions that I need clarified that haven't been so far, and that's the kind of things. There's now, as far as the right-of-ways maybe that the township may or may not need or desire would need to be discussed. There's potentially 2 that Sam and I discussed. Essentially one north and south and one east and west, although it doesn't follow the compass terribly accurately, but I think you all follow me with that. One this way and one that way. So I don't know, Sam. I mean, what do you think as far as how deep can we even get into this tonight?
Well, that's pretty much is what I want to do.
And I agree with you.
I just wanted to set up, get it on record, get notice, so we can get back to DEP, tell them we are working toward that end of getting you connected.
Yeah, and I acknowledge that I've received the township's letter, and the township has acknowledged that they've asked me to hook to a sewer system that doesn't exist. So we're all trying to work through all this. Mm-hmm. So I guess that's about all we can get into tonight, as far as I could tell.
And that all being said, would you be open for committee meetings to work that out?
Absolutely. And I probably should let everybody know, there are partners involved in the property up there. The likelihood of any of them showing up at a meeting is slim. Unfortunately, 2 of the 3 of them one's in severely terminal bad health, and the other one's trying to take care of that problem. So it's a bit of an issue. But final decisions will have to be brought to the partners. Right. But I'm pretty much going to be the contact person.
Would the authority have a problem setting up a two-person committee to discuss this with the connections with Mike and what needs to be done?
I mean, you're going to do the same thing as what he's doing. You're just going to be the intermediate stuff, so you still got to bring stuff back to us for a decision.
Right.
Oh, I
would
assume
so basically, he's doing the same thing. You're just being able to address it whenever it suits both of you.
I am not suggesting Sam be part of that, part of the committee. All right. So would it be 1 of the 2 of the other 4?
Could I ask why it has to be a committee of two
Because
to
I'm-
start the, I
Because
know
if I
that.
have three, I have to.
You have to
so-
advertise
right.
that, I'm well aware of that, but I'm asking, why can't it be an advertised meeting to meet with the entire board to lay the groundwork?
Well, we can do that too. We can do that too. If you wanna have an extra meeting, we can do that.
It's just that you gotta schedule it and you gotta figure yourself,
Right,
what,
we gotta
3 to
give us
4
enough
days in
time. Yeah,
advance,
yeah.
so it's not one of the
Advertise.
things, the two guys can get together and say, hey,
It's not that I was trying to do anything under the table or underhanded here, I was just trying to make it more convenient for everybody along the way, and yeah, we
I
can
mean,
schedule another.
I don't have a problem either way, I just like to see it get
Everybody's gotta look
resolved
at
here
their
at that
schedules and
point,
find
and I
out
think,
what's free and what's not.
I mean, from a logistics standpoint, I'd like to, and I don't care if it's the whole board, and I don't understand all the rules about this many and that many and advertising what you all have to do. But I don't think between the township and myself right now, we don't have enough information to have any kind of a meeting.
Mr. Ward, you have an engineer.
I have an engineer that I worked with the opposite direction that was, you know, when I was told I had to upgrade the plant and do all kinds of other things, I had Klein Engineering handling all that. So I don't want to say I have an engineer, I have one I've worked with, but I don't like have, now ironically, one of the partners is an engineer, which may or may not help, but I don't know how much engineering is going to have to take place, and that's another question that we discussed when we talked to DEP, and as it would appear right now, it seems like there probably is not a whole lot of engineering that's going to be required.
When did you work with Klein Engineering? How long ago?
I'd have to pull the files. I had
I
one
don't need
of
an exact date, how long ago?
2 to 3 years,
No, it's been within that time period.
within 2 years,
I would think so.
take or give.
Yeah, I would
Okay,
think so.
That would be,
So then this hasn't exactly come pretty quickly.
I don't understand your response.
The upgrade for the plant. This
Well,
has been
first
an
of all,
ongoing.
nothing happens quickly with DEP.
No, you made the remark that this has all happened pretty quickly. That's why I'm asking if you've had an engineer in the last several years to work on this plant. That was my question.
The plant, yeah, but I mean, it's been indicated to me from DEP that I could have done whatever they asked me to do, that it wasn't gonna be re-permitted anyway because the sewer system had to be upgraded. And that wasn't something I was aware of. I was told there was not enough EDUs available on the system. I met with the township, with representatives from the township probably 4 years ago, somewhere in that neighborhood, and they said the line was full, the system was full, there was only 1.5 EDUs available and something about sheets, and so I started spending money on the plant. And then, literally within the last 2 weeks, the whole thing has gone full circle the other direction. So I am taken by surprise a bit. I mean, I got a phone call and some letters from DEP, as I'm sure the township did. And then subsequently, within 2 weeks, received a letter from your solicitor that I had to hook up to the sewer, knowing that the sewer wasn't even on my property. So I started making phone calls, and ultimately Sam and I and the representatives of the DEP met down at the property for a briefing, a coming together of minds, or whatever you want to call it. So this is all very fresh from a hooking up to the sewer standpoint. I mean, we're talking about weeks, not years.
I'm assuming that, or few discussions that you've had with the individuals within this board have explained to you that we have specifications here that we do have a requirement that we do not accept anything or take anything over unless it has a proper test and inspection on it. That means it's has no I&I on it. Are you familiar with that? Have they brought you up to speed on that?
No.
Okay, I&I means infiltration of the system that's existing, meaning wherever we would be tying into the system, okay, or wherever we would tie into our system, from there out would have to be certified to be airtight to within, what, 5 feet of the building, am I correct?
Yes.
Within 5 feet of the building, okay?
5 feet of which building?
Any structure.
Any structure, of the point of connection
Okay.
with that building.
The reason being is that some old infrastructures are not satisfactory. and will allow-
I'm following, like groundwater infiltration,
Groundwater,
yeah.
okay. So we need, I mean, that's the issue that we also, I mean, no matter what happens, that's one of the main critical things. We have a very, very tight system at the present moment. It's very new, it's very current. It's been very successful. We have very few issues or any complications when we have heavy rains, high waters, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it keeps our operating costs down, keeps the structure very, our treatment plant very simple to maintain. And I think that's a very important thing that needs to be considered, and you need to consider that in your plans whatever's down there. I realize with that infrastructure that's down there is a fairly old infrastructure.
Some is.
Some, yes.
Unfortunately, some. Well, I mean, fortunately from that standpoint, unfortunately from my pocket standpoint,
Correct, I understand.
I've had to replace some things down
I
there.
understand, and that's
So-
not the concern. Our concern is to make sure that we have a dry or a sealed tight system to the utmost of the ability of it.
Right, right.
And-
I understand.
And I
what
want to
you're
make sure
saying.
you understand that, because there's a couple different ways that this system could be installed that could be easier or more complicated for you, okay?
Well, I mean, I don't think it's hard for anybody to wrap their mind around the fact that I want it to be as easy and painless as
I
possible.
understand that, but there's a couple options there, and I think you need to make sure you look at every option that you have for your ability to do it. I
Well,
understand
and
that.
like I was trying to say, I haven't had a chance to explore really any option yet. This is all, and Mr. Shadow, did I say that properly? I don't know if you have a copy of the letter. You can tell me when it was mailed, but I mean, this was very recently.
My letter to you was, within, I guess, the last couple of weeks.
And that was within a week or so of the DEP letter.
Right.
So I mean, 4 weeks ago, let's say, I had no knowledge of the fact that hooking up to the sewer in Penn Township was even a possibility if I wanted to. It was my understanding it wasn't an option. And now we're on the other side of it. So,
Henry, you want to check your schedule? We'll see whether we can come up with an evening or a time within the next couple of days or week. Well, we need 3 days to advertise. So next week or something like that, we can get together again, and then we can set up a couple of 1 or 2 or whatever we need to do.
I'll probably be able to tell you that Monday afternoon I'm probably available, because I have
Will that give us enough time to advertise it? No.
that's if you want to have a whole committee.
I don't know what the Patriots requirements are.
But that's if you want to have the whole board involved. Now, I don't have an objection
Patriot
of
doesn't have,
other people.
they don't, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I don't have an objection of having a partial board being there. I do not have that problem.
Well, we'll look at,
Because don't
along
forget.
I'm along the same lines as you are.
Next Tuesday is our JOAC meeting, so if we can have anything and a discussion going on before that time frame, we can have a meeting of discussion at that.
I'd rather have I'd rather have this type of meeting at this building as opposed to at Duncannon. Yeah.
Okay.
So if you can look at your schedules, come up with a day, an evening, whatever that's gonna. Ben, what do you have next week?
I'm wide open next week.
Remember that the Patriot only publishes Tuesday, Thursday,
and Sunday.
Saturday, and Sunday.
On Sunday.
They-
And you need,
they
what, we
generally
need at
need-
least 3 days?
Well, you're requiring at least 3 days. That may have changed now with the new publication
Yeah,
schedule.
see, I don't know.
I would say at least 3 days, yeah.
And does putting it on the cable, TV cable, does not qualify? Okay.
Has to be in print.
Hmm?
Does it
Yes.
have to be
If
in
we
print?
have a meeting, what are
That
we
might-
gonna be discussing
that might be
about? Is he
something
gonna be coming with some good hard plans with this, or how are we gonna do this thing? I mean, you know what I'm getting at, I mean,
Yeah.
we,
Well, that's
we,
why I asked about whether he has an engineer or not.
we're not
I
running
mean, we have
anywhere
an
right
engineer, and we
now.
have our ideas about the way we'd like to see it done, but,
Yeah, we have some ideas, and we've already asked our engineer to look it over.
I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and BS anybody. It's real easy for the board, anytime I'm in any meeting like this, whether it's in Penn Township or not, to say, do you have an engineer, do you have this, do you have that, do you have a plan? Well, that's all just dollars. And quite honestly, I could go up to Klein Engineering tomorrow morning and say, can you do this? I wouldn't even know what to tell them I want done. The only thing I know right now is apparently the sewer line itself needs to be,
Are you comfortable with using the recommendations of our engineer?
I'm certainly comfortable with listening to him.
Okay.
Absolutely. I mean, why reinvent the wheel? Maybe he's got the best plan. I don't
all right.
I don't have any way of knowing that.
Okay. What do you got next, what do you have, what days you have? CC? Next week?
Well, if we're already meeting Monday night, I have the rest of the week.
You're good the rest of the week, too.
Keep
How
in
about
mind,
you?
Wednesday is Ash
All right.
Wednesday.
Stan,
Next Friday's the only thing I have.
next Friday?
Is the only thing I have booked, so
Okay.
Monday through Thursday.
For whatever it's worth, I have training next Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Okay.
Thursday and Friday night, and Saturday
So
and
will
Sunday.
Wednesday night sound all right? Wednesday all right with you?
That is
Let me
Ash
check.
Wednesday. If
Ah.
that
I was gonna say, I can't be there. Now, you don't need me there, but you can put the tape recorder on, but it's Ash Wednesday.
No, let's do it when we go to the next
Tuesday night? Or week
Tuesday.
after?
week after.
What's wrong with Tuesday?
We go Tuesday? Do we have enough time to advertise it? Where
That's what I'm
looking
wondering.
at?
I don't know.
If I called the
Probably.
Patriot tomorrow, they should be able to get it into Tuesday's paper. That would be Thursday, Friday, Monday. That's 3
Well,
business days.
What are we?
Well,
let's
it's a special meeting, you only need 1 day.
Can I ask a question here? And I don't have a problem if the answer is yes, but if we're gonna try to have a meeting, potentially, I guess you're saying on the 12th, is that what I'm hearing?
If
Which
that's
is
Tuesday.
next Tuesday.
If that's Tuesday, yeah.
Is that for me to kinda hear your engineer's plan or something? 'Cause
Well, that's more or less is a fact finding, what you have, what we need to do, and then we can work from there,
It's dedicated, that meeting will be dedicated exclusively for you.
exclusively for you,
So there
yes.
will be no other things that we need to interrupt or whatever.
I don't have a problem trying to,
And if you got a plot plan of the property down there
Yeah,
and
I
stuff,
have. I have a
I
lot.
think it would be best to bring everything you possibly could come up here with all the buildings and everything around here. And there could be, if you have a couple extra copies of it, we could use them as
well, actually,
battle plans, you know what I'm saying?
they're relatively expensive to produce for me, but
Or a hand sketch, anything just.
no, the township has numerous copies of them from the last permit that was applied for.
Well, we can look and see.
I had color copies made
Okay.
of, so I would assume we could have them utilized, I would hope. I mean, they cost me $8 a piece.
Okay, I understand,
Until
yeah.
I get,
Well, just look, there can only be one for us, I mean, for marking
Well,
up.
I mean,
different
I've
colors,
already
highlighting.
got-
Okay,
Cece, do you think you can ask Helen to look for those? And see if we can get permission to use those?
Now, I have a copy of it, that we can pass around or put up on the board or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'll get copies made if that's what's requested of me. I just assume not spend the money again when they're already
Well, if
sitting
they're here,
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw a couple things out here, just casually in front of you here.
Why not? Let's set this meeting first. When, now, does Tuesday suit everybody? Tuesday the 12th, all right? Time, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock?
Don't matter.
Doesn't matter.
6.
6? I hear 6 o'clock, okay. Tuesday the 12th at 6 o'clock. Dennis, do you feel you need to be here?
I don't feel I need to, but I'm happy to. If the board wishes, you can let me
You
know.
don't think? What do
That
you
means it's would have to
I
go
don't
in the
see
paper
us-
Sunday.
I see giving
What's
him a
that?
bunch of
It'll have to be
ideas,
in
and then he's gonna
Sunday's
have to
paper.
evaluate.
And it'll
Oh,
be
it can't be in
Tuesday.
Tuesday's paper,
No,
can it?
no, it's not a full, that wouldn't be.
It has
a
to be
day.
there 24 hours ahead of time.
As far as Thursday, I don't know if I just don't know. I haven't had occasion to deal with
How about
the
we do this?
timing of things since they
You've
went
got-
on the new schedule.
Helen has my phone number, the police department has my phone number, I work with them every day. If Tuesday doesn't work for some reason because of the rules that you guys gotta follow, just have somebody call me. I can do it about any evening except Thursday and Friday of this next week,
Okay.
and Friday of the following week. I have training that weekend also.
Okay.
So I'll try to make myself available as best I can.
Okay. So we'll
Because
try.
I mean, I don't care if you advertise it or not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I understand you have
We
your
do.
rules.
Well, state's got our rules.
Yeah, I get it. I'm just saying.
All right. And you're good for that?
Yeah.
You're good for the 6th, okay. Now,
12th.
the 12th, I'm sorry, at 6 o'clock on the 12th. All right. So now, what did you want to say, Henry?
I know I guess the original overall, from what I understand with the DEP discussion, was to have a connection to the existing treatment plant. Is that the impression I was hearing?
Well, I think that was close. I think the discussion was more, obviously the plant would be eliminated, but where the inlet is, or perhaps the outlet, which would have to then be some plumbing involved, but is the central location where everything shows up right now. And I understand your infiltration. I get all that. However, there's a system in place. More than a little bit of it has been replaced within the last few years. So, yeah, I mean, it's like, why do we need to hook up 12 things when there's already a centralized system?
Okay, as long as you can put an air test on and hold it for the designated requirements, because that's what it's going to be held to. Am I correct? That's what our
That's what our rules and
specifications-
regs and our
That's what
specs
our
call
rules
for.
and regulations have, and that's what I'm getting at. It may be beneficial for you to have an understanding of our rules and regulations before we get too far into this, so you're privy to what we have.
Well, I think that would be great, because like I said, the only thing I have right now
That-
is a letter from the DEP and a letter from your solicitor.
And what I'm trying to do is keep you as informed as possible, so
Yeah,
you
and I appreciate that,
understand.
yeah.
And, because if you start going in one direction and you read into these rules and regulations, there might be a better option that's gonna be simpler and easier, I won't say easier, but maybe get rid of some of the complexity.
Well, I'll suggest that now that, since you've mentioned that you come up when it's convenient to you and the office is open and get a copy of our rules and regs, along with a copy of our building specifications for the sewer system.
That's a requirement anyhow for
That's-
any.
yeah,
I
that's-
mean,
that's-
and
you use it all-
what's the cost of that?
All the UCCs. I don't remember what the cost is.
There is a fee for that, but I don't know what
Do you know
it
what
is
it is
anymore.
off the top of your head?
No.
$100.
I think that's close, something like that, yeah. Okay.
Did I miss something? So you're saying it's $100 to get a copy of your
Rules
regulations?
and regulations,
No,
developer
the rules and
specs.
regs are free.
Yeah, the rules and regular specs is what developer spec and everything else with that. I think before you go much further, I would encourage you to get that, read it, study it. It could answer a lot of questions that you're not privy to right now or don't understand. You're, like I said, you're gonna be mandated to have them anyhow before you start construction, right, Sam?
Yep.
So,
Because you gotta, you're gonna have to.
all developers gotta have them. It's simple
Well,
as
I
that,
mean,
so you
if there's
understand.
gonna be any construction, we haven't even gotten to that. We haven't gotten far enough to even determine that.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, there is a secondary option, which I'm not terribly excited about, but, I mean, it's out there that it's just the whole thing's just shut down. And if there's no output, there's no need for sewer. So, you know, and the economy being what it is,
Understand that?
Understand that.
So we're good to go with the meeting on the 12th?
So we're tentatively on the 12th, unless
Tentatively on
you
the
fall
12th.
into some issue with advertising, and then somebody will contact me, right?
Yes, yes. Okay?
So I'm done then, basically. Great.
All right, if that's all you have
I mean,
for us.
I don't say that like I'm trying to rush off.
No.
If I don't need to be here, then,
Yeah.
Right,
Does
yeah.
anybody have anything else for?
and you're gonna
before
check
we're ready?
on, using the plot
That's correct.
plan, and if, I'll bring mine. I mean, I have a couple
Yeah, well, as
copies.
long as you have one copy, bring them along just to be sure. You know, we can all get together off of one copy if we have to, but if we got more, we can all
Yeah,
sit
now
down.
the one that you'll be able to access, I don't think, I'm not positive, there should be two. Are you, Cece, are you the one that's gonna, there should be two. One's like an aerial photograph. Another one is a survey drawing that should have the dimensions on it. The one that's got the dimensions on it, I have a very large copy of that we could hang up and make it easier for everybody to see. So, okay? All right, I'll see you all
Anybody have
Tuesday.
anything else for Mike before he leaves? Okay, we'll see you on the 12th.
I'll see you on the 12th unless I hear differently.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Wilson?
Good evening, Todd Wilson from Alpha Consulting. Just came up tonight to give you a update as to where we're at with the stone mill. I believe the last time anyone was present from the developer was in November, and Forrest came up, and I wasn't here, but just to make sure we're on the same page, I think what Forrest relayed to the board was that we're looking at different options for sewer extension, and that was a result of, we went and asked for a variance to disturb prohibitive slopes to install the sewer line down the Butcher Shop Road, approximately 2,000 feet. The variance was denied, so since that time, we've been looking at different options. I met with Sam to look at different points of connections at one point. What we came up with in early January was running the same route, but kind of relocating the sewer line to the other side of the stream. The sewer line, right now on the plans that are filed with the township, sort of over on this side. We moved it to the south, and what we're trying to do is kind of meander our way down through there to avoid the prohibitive slopes as much as possible. You see the 5 green runs there is where we would propose to bore under the prohibitive slopes. The prohibitive slopes area, but we wouldn't be disturbing them. We'd be boring in those 5 locations. And this was submitted to the township in early January. The zoning officer received a letter. We were at the last planning commission meeting in January where we received a copy of the letter from the zoning officer that he seemed to indicate that this wouldn't require a variance.
Would or wouldn't?
Would not.
Would not.
It was his interpretation that we couldn't disturb the prohibited slopes to install the line, but we could disturb the precautionary slopes. But then at the same time at the meeting, and maybe Ed's here, he could elaborate some as far as the planning commission's take, that they weren't so sure that we could do this and disturb precautionary slopes without a variance. So I guess where we left it at the planning commission is something that would go to the board. Does that sound right?
The planning commission requested that both steep, precautionary, and prohibitive be shown on this plot plan, or on this design, and that the planning commission also felt that this sewer line is not included in what's conditionally allowed. So we needed more refinement from several of our professionals, including the engineer, and the solicitor. And we also needed to see what precautionary slopes were impacted with this design. Currently, the plan that we got only shows where it impacts prohibitive slopes.
Hey, Todd, the green areas there, you're saying they are bored. That's,
That's where we would-
you're still looking at an 8-inch gravity line coming from
Yes.
there, right? How long is that, the longest one down there at the bottom?
It's 220 feet.
Yeah.
220 feet.
I think that's what it
Is that, is that, a characteristic of, I don't want to say characteristic, but can you bore an 8-inch line?
Our contractor says you can. I mean, I'll be totally frank. Sam, I don't deal with.
Well, they're going to encase that with something, correct?
Yes. It would have to. Would have to.
Pretty impressive. I'm saying that's a long run.
Yeah.
For a gravity flow slope line.
Well, my serious concern with that is, you do all that work, gets turned over to the municipal authority, something happens to it, how are we gonna get in and fix it? Say-
You can. I don't like.
I mean, hell, if you can't dig on it, then we're not gonna
Yeah,
be
so
able
why
to
would
dig
we
on it.
wanna even take that
I don't know
over?
that. I don't know the answer to that.
I would want nothing to do with that, cause you can't even get in to fix it,
I mean, I think you physically could, but.
not without building roads and everything. You're looking at a huge expense for us if we gotta fix that thing.
It's either that or they're gonna end up lining it from the inside, and that's not the good way of doing it.
No, that's just a Band-Aid.
Yep. I'm assuming wherever it's sleeved or wherever it's bored, what kind of piping are they gonna install in there?
I assume PVC, but again, we haven't even gotten that far.
And how are you gonna, I mean, are they gonna have any dust or anything around it?
Yeah, again,
Yeah.
I'm not an expert. I can't answer these questions.
Yeah,
The contractor couldn't be here tonight. I mean,
Right.
we can't even get to that point until we can find out if we need a variance.
Personally, I have major problems with that whole layout right there.
Yeah, I think Todd and I talked a little bit, and I said I had reservations about that, but about doing these things, but we don't have any details or anything to even, look at.
Mhm.
At this point, it was very much just a concept.
That's correct. So the concern is every area where it's being bored, not just the.
Well, how are we gonna get into the whole
Too late.
thing? I mean, that's basically a big gully. Are you guys gonna build a right-of-way up through there for us to access
There
it?
will be right away.
That you can get heavy equipment and everything in?
There'll be an easement.
Yeah.
We have
There's-
required to provide an easement.
There's gonna be manholes up through there, and I'm sure there's gonna have to have some way for them to be accessible, am I correct?
Right, but areas that are bored,
I know where you're going with that.
Yeah, I mean, basically, the way I look at it is if you ever have to fix that, you'd have to redo what they did originally. So you're gonna have to pull manholes and fix it like that. And the shorter sections, you're probably not gonna have to do a whole lot with in the future. The 220 foot is really what stands out to me. I mean, I've done small sections before under PennDOT roads, under railroads, when you have to. I think, like we said, usually that's kind of a project in and of itself, making sure that is installed properly. But the 220 foot is what really,
So it's the opinion of the board that this won't work. We have to come up with another option. I guess that's safe to say.
I mean, unless you get some way of giving us some other assurances there, but I kind of agree with everybody else. It's a maintenance nightmare, or could become a maintenance nightmare.
Okay.
Now, I'm sure that there's technology out there that the big cities have that we're probably not near us around, that maybe this is where that's leading to. And if that's the case, then bring it to us and dazzle us with it and see what we can, but right now, just, I agree with them. I know right where they're heading with it. And the short ones ain't no big deal. It's just like, Penn says. I mean, yeah, you gotta go underneath highways, you gotta go underneath here, you gotta go underneath there.
So the short ones aren't as much as.
I really don't have a concern on something like that. I mean, most of the time, if they're short like that, some of them are even sleeved, or spec'd out that they need to be sleeved, and then you turn around and you can pull them through and replace the lines
Well,
afterwards.
and that's kind of how I'm envisioning this, like, there's gonna be casing.
But to sleeve a
you're gonna be-
200-foot line,
Aren't they
I
running
don't
the
know
brick?
if that's the intention,
So
then
doesn't
it
it-
needs to be expressed
Yeah, but
also,
doesn't
you know
that
what I'm
still
saying?
have to
If you
be-
took a steel sleeved line, pulled it through, and then pulled something through that, maybe
What about
that's,
with
maybe
DEP,
that's the
that
direction you're
has to
heading
be?
here, when none of us understand that, you know what I'm saying? But, I've been through a couple projects already where they've ended up putting a sleeve through, and then they've pulled it through, you know, Army Corps of Engineers and stuff like that already years ago. It's, the tunneling process itself was a major undertaking.
Okay, well, again, this is where we're at, we're gonna have to look at another alternative.
Or more details on this to give us, you know,
That-
we need more feeling of assurance on this.
Sure.
I mean, we got a lot of hesitation on this right now,
No,
you understand what I'm saying?
Understood.
I mean, evidently boring happens everywhere. I mean, it's a popular thing, it's getting more popular because it's less evasive, and I understand that.
What size line is that?
8-inch.
Or an 8-inch gravity down through those.
I mean, I can see somebody putting a steel casing in there, ductile iron casing of 12-inch or something, and then putting guides on it and putting it down through. I can
And
see
that's
that.
how I envision it, I think our developers
I
can
can
show
see that happening, bellows,
for
pick it
that
down
type of
through it, or
installation.
whatever it's gonna be. I can envision it that way. Then it's replaceable and fixable, okay? But to take it in there and encase it in a concrete structure, if you're gonna put concrete around it, you're gonna be putting it in ductile iron anyhow, so it's not gonna be plastic. So there's variables here. I understand, I'm sure it's not gonna be just plastic pipe pulled through 200 feet of hollow ground and the dirt falling around it. I'm sure that's-
But regardless, the 200-foot run, no matter what the material or how the method or how the construction is, you're not comfortable with the 200-foot run. Is that fair to say, or is this something that we should go back and bring you more information?
I think a little more information on it, on my behalf,
I mean, if it's something you're gonna rule out, we're not gonna waste
I
the
wouldn't go
time.
as far as to say we're gonna rule it out, until we just go and evaluate
Okay.
see where we stand with it and see what's, a little bit more information on a 200-foot run for where it sure would help.
I mean, you guys can come up with a couple different processes there that, you know, the engineer might not object to it. I mean, it's a maintenance issue, is what we're looking
Understood.
for. I mean, if
Does
something
that-
malfunctions there, guarantee us a way that we can fix it.
Right.
That's
Does
what we're looking for.
does that stream running down there beside that pose a problem with DEP? Is there any specifications that say, that line has to be encased because of that stream that's running there? And I'm just throwing that out, I don't know.
When you cross the stream, you
believe
will
so.
have to
When you
encase it,
cross
and
it,
it will
you
have
have
to be
to.
Yeah,
ductile
but
iron.
running alongside it, that's the
But
question.
running beside it is where I'm asking.
I don't think we
I
had
don't
those
believe
issues.
so.
I don't think we had the issues where this line's gonna be tying into it, that's not encased. Is it?
That's true. The only place we encase is where we went under the creek.
Yeah, typically just when you cross.
Yeah, stream crossings, that's the only time I've ever been exposed to them. Put ductile iron in and encase it in concrete.
What are the depths of the pipes?
They're gonna be, fairly deep. They're gonna be at least 10, 15 feet deep, I would assume. I mean, I haven't done a profile of this new run simply because we've been trying to get past
Boy,
the.
that's
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you, that's quite some undulating. There's steep slopes out there. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
so
gonna,
that-
we're bucking grade in a couple areas.
right, and that
That's-
makes
that's
a
the only-
nightmare for anybody that has to go in and fix when you're talking that type of depth.
Well, we're dealing with it Market Street, so, I mean,
Okay.
Keep in mind, that longest stretch is at the collector end. It's not like it's in the beginning of that run.
So, I mean, you can't, as far as from the township level, you can't even disturb at all I guess you said there's gonna be some disturbance of the steep slopes.
We can't disturb the prohibitive at all, that
Right.
we know. Now, there's a question on whether we can disturb the precautionary or not.
With as
So-
close
so
as
the-
some of those manholes are to the prohibited slopes, I'd be surprised if there wasn't some disturbance. I mean, they're very close in some areas. I mean, the contractor would have to be very, very diligent and careful. I mean, because some of those steep slopes are within the easement, and that's if you're 15, 20 feet deep, 30 foot, you're going to use all of that 30 foot easement most times. That's what I would be concerned about as well.
Okay.
You prefer to have a gravity control system installed here, am I
Absolutely.
correct?
I mean,
I
absolutely.
understand that, and I agree with you. I just want to make sure that, that's when you get into these issues.
Well, that brings other questions too. If you put a low pressure line in there, and then you gotta deal with water going downhill when the pressure's is down.
Yeah.
Well, if we put a low pressure line in, I try to go this way. This would be out of the picture.
Yep, and that's kind of.
I mean, the issue is the construction and maintenance of a pump station, you understand
I
that.
understand that. Yep, and that's why I was but I'm sure you've evaluated it both ways, so.
Okay, well, how about I take this, the contractor was supposed to be here tonight, but couldn't make it.
I'm assuming, like I said there, I'm assuming they're gonna put an oversized sleeve in it, pull something through it. I mean, I don't see
That's what
any other.
when I looked at this, and that's how we've designed them in the past. There's a steel casing. You have the
Steel
supports.
casing or duct iron?
I've seen mostly steel casing, but
Welded steel pulled through, so it
right,
stays
and then
a
you
little
put in
straighter
the guides every so many feet to make sure.
And then
Now
it's not unlike how PennDOT would require it no matter what size.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
Correct,
yeah.
Yep. Okay, yeah, we've had the PennDOT crossings, there's specifications on that, so I'm assuming it's very similar to that. That's what brought that
Even
to
like
my
an HDPE
attention.
pipe or something like that. So yeah, it's
Or just the state reg.
why I'd be with a single fused pipe. I would. You just worry about being able to hold that grade the whole way through. That's what I worry about in that application.
Why don't I get some more detail, and then maybe I
Yes.
can call you back.
When that's, I think the way I kind of envisioned this was, you want to see what the township had to say first before you put all that detail into
That's
it.
exactly.
And I didn't expect all the detail right now. I mean, why go to that length if the township says, you can't do any of it. So I understand why.
I mean, the primary issue was the slopes. And if we know we can't even do this, then what's the sense in getting into the detail of the destruction? But okay, why don't we?
You gonna get back to Ben, or you gonna?
Well, what I'd like to do is talk to the contractor and get some ideas, and maybe call Ben, and then maybe we can come back. Another meeting, the next meeting.
And in the
potentially.
meantime, you're gonna have to run that through,
Because
through the township and the planning
Yeah,
commission?
we have to deal with the steep slope issue concurrently. So,
Okay.
Well, they have to go to the planning commission first, don't they? Before they-
Well, they have to get that approved through them
So-
before they come to us.
But we just want to get a good feel that we can build it from
Yeah.
first before
Well,
we
you heard-
revise the plans and.
You heard our concerns with that drawing, other than, I don't see a problem, well, I shouldn't say we don't. I understood everybody, right? We don't have a problem with anything except down at the bottom, or that 200-foot rim. So,
My main concern is that it's all accessible. I mean, you're talking 15 feet.
Your concern as well is with all of them, though, is that correct?
Access to manholes, et cetera, what I'm saying?
I'm not talking little cow pay, I'm talking access.
And that's what I kind of was saying there with the 30-foot easement, 15, 20 foot deep, you're going to
use
that.
every bit.
You're going to use that space. There will be, I can't imagine there not being disturbance in that 30-foot area with, with dirt coming out, rock coming out. I would be surprised if those steep slopes weren't disturbed in some way, even if they're within that 30-foot easement, unless the pipe's shallow.
well,
Unless the pipe will be shallow in that run. If the pipe was only 6-7 foot deep in certain runs, you might not have that problem.
Well, we're talking grade quite a bit here.
Right.
So,
Are they sealed manholes?
They'd have to be.
Vacuum tested airtight.
Yeah.
They'd have to be.
Making
yeah.
sure of that.
The water gets pretty deep in that gully.
Yeah, you probably want watertight bolts
I've seen
down.
what, you've seen that little causeway that we have at the end of it, I've seen water going over top of that already.
You'd want watertight bolt down covers.
Yeah, you might want to bring that manhole, elevate that substantially. That would be more.
Well, that's,
benefit.
you know, that's the only other concern. If you elevate those, you know, with 30-foot easement and you have steep slopes you're not supposed to disturb, trying to get a track hoe in there to fix it later. You see what I'm saying? It,
I
it
know
might
what
be
you're
it
saying,
might be
yeah.
easy going down through and dropping in manholes behind you when you got to come through in the future, and then service those manholes and they're sticking out of the ground 5-6 feet. Then you can't
Then it's a little tough.
you can't get your equipment.
Well, we
through.
got one just downstream from there. They're sticking out, but they're not by much.
Well, if you wanna see manholes that are sticking out, you're going down to, Valley Road, I think it's called. It's an unopened road down between St. John's Road and Kinsey Road. You've got manholes that
Yeah,
are
I
sitting
know
up
what-
out of the ground in there.
That's for a future road. Infrastructure.
Yeah, I don't think they're ever gonna get a road through there because it's all wetland.
I've seen them sticking out 4 or 5 feet before. It's impossible to take the manhole cover off.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. Okay, buddy?
okay. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. I appreciate you coming up, appreciate your time.
I thought he disappeared off the face of the earth.
Well, I thought they did too. I think, you know.
I saw
thought
that
when
on here,
Forrest
I
left,
said-
everybody
We
left.
used to get some up
Forrest
all the
left,
time.
everybody left.
Yeah,
Yeah.
about it.
Well, thanks again for coming.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate the.
Which one of you two Johnsons is first? Okay, what's up?
Dennis, any update?
Well, I've done some additional review. I'm not completely finished, though. There's a few things I still need to look at. But I understand from the discussion, I kind of slowed down because I understood there was no vehicles at all there. And I guess there's a question, are they intending to continue to operate?
The property is operating, yes.
Okay. You see, somebody told me there's no vehicles on the
Right
site.
now, there's two.
Okay. All right, so they do continue to, or intend to continue to operate a car dealership there?
Yes.
Used car sale, okay. Yeah, I have a couple things I have to check, and I promise I'll exhaust it by your next meeting.
Have you had any conversations with Rich yet?
I did speak a little bit to Rich, yes.
Okay, because when I was at the township meeting last week, he had a very stoic look, like he had no clue what I was talking about.
Okay, well, I spoke to him after the township
Okay.
meeting, so that might be why.
Okay, that could be why. That kind of leaves my list sort of up in the air. Some of it is general. When we granted the right-of-way across the property for the Sheets connection, there were 2 laterals installed. Are they both available? I know one was damaged. Were they kept, or are they both still?
The one that was
operational?
damaged was repaired. And I don't know where the other one is. I've not, personally, I've not seen it. I have to check the drawings and stuff to find out where that's at.
Okay, there's supposed to be one in the north side and
I
one on
think
the
there's
south
one at
side.
each end. I think.
Okay.
I know there's one on the upper end. And I think there's one on the other one, and I have not seen that, and I don't know where that's at. I have to get the cut drawings and look for that.
Okay. There was a glitch with the permitting of the septic, or of the porta-john. The letter indicated that we could have one, but the township had denied us the permit to have one. That's been resolved. I picked that permit up, so we're fine with that. When I had asked about the permit and asked about the other existing, were there any other porta-johns, I thought that the response was that no, there weren't any porta-johns elsewhere operating for businesses. Is that still the case, or?
At that time, the only other one that I knew of was down at the, there at the beer distributor. That has since been moved. If there's another one, I don't know, because
Farmer
we-
Boy.
Farmer Boy? Because we don't do the,
Okay, because there is
Yeah.
one at the recycle center. I had specifically asked about that one and was told, no, he was using a building on the property. But there is clearly a porta-john sitting on that property.
Is it on a trailer or is it on the ground?
That I can't see, I don't know, but I did see it when I drove by the other day.
So did I questioned that. Mr. Ward claims that that is taken to work sites, that that's not used on his property. That's the answer I was given. Do I
That's
believe that?
creative.
No, I don't.
That's creative.
Yes.
it is creative,
Never thought
isn't
of
it?
that. I think there's a trailer.
A mobile
Never mind.
potty.
Never mind. The grinder pump. Are there grinder pumps available? Do I have to purchase a township grinder pump, or can I get my own?
There are grinder pumps available. You can purchase your own. However, it has to be an E1 or an E1, what's it called? Equivalent.
And just rough estimate purchasing through you?
Susan, do you remember what that is? $2,700 for a Simplex? Is that what that is? What is it? 37.
She doesn't need to wet well.
$3,700 for a Simplex. That's through us. Site Specific sells them. Linker Excavating in Enola is an E1 distributor. If you want to check prices.
Okay. And then my only other question / comment, when Mr. Holman had made the amendments to the minutes, and you did a new motion, is that amending the minutes that are already approved, or is that gonna be reflected in tonight's minutes?
Yeah, you cannot go back and change minutes that are already sealed and stamped.
Well, that's what I thought, but when I heard we were changing motions, I thought,
Well, I was adding to it, that's all.
Okay, all right.
I cut one of them. He had not told me about his second concern. He told me about the first one where I had the churches wrong, or I would have had both of them put, they just combined them for the same motion.
Okay.
It's all in the same paragraph. It's for the December 5th minutes. And it's, Jody, it's the one where he's talking about the Morrison
Right.
property.
Okay. That's it.
So actually, it won't be an amendment to those minutes, it's
No,
more,
it'll
it's
be
a
reflected in
clarification.
tonight's minutes.
It'll be
as
added
well.
on this one as a
Yes.
clarification
That's
to that.
Correction
That's
of the December 5th
what I
minutes.
thought,
Right.
but
I will go back in the minute book and put a sticky that says, this has been amended at the February meeting, just so that anybody that comes in to read the minutes knows to go forward.
how do you put the sticky on the website?
Hmm?
How do you put the sticky on the website?
Oh, smarty.
No, seriously, because if you're going in and downloading them, is there a way to do
Oh, no,
something?
no, there's no, I wouldn't know. There might be,
Come up with a watermark.
Check the webmaster, we'll have to check our webmaster and see whether you can put a flag there. I don't know.
Well, I mean, it might be something to look at.
no, I don't think
realistic.
you're just not allowed to go in and change minutes after they're
No,
approved.
don't do that.
So,
I don't know.
Just
Yeah.
curious.
When she's done, it's your turn.
I got the whole way through my list.
Oh, okay. You're already through your
I'm
list?
through my list.
Oh, okay. Anybody have anything else for Jody? Okay, Robert, your turn.
With that $3,700 through the township and it's purchased, if we buy it ourselves and put it in, what cost do we have then to the township in that manner?
The connection fee,
What's that run?
that's $3,600.
35.
Figured.
35? I thought it was
Connection to
36.
tap fee is
I
3,500.
thought they've always been 36.
3,500.
So what do I know? I'm only chairman.
Sorry, that's what the rates and rules, or the rate schedule says.
So
3,500
plus 3,500.
Right, and then $60 a month.
And permits?
You have to come up and get the connection permit from us, and once you get the connection permit from us, you go over and get a building permit from Penn Township Board of Supervisors, and that triggers the UCC inspection, all right? It's the municipal authority's inspection to the installation of the pump and the connection to the main line. From the grinder pump back to the facility, or the building, that's in the realm of the UCC.
2,500, 3,500 is okay?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, I love it.
On television, they show a green line, if you follow the green line.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
You need a green line to go through the building.
Yipper. Yeah. You have anything else, Bob?
No, no, thank you.
Anybody have anything for Bob? No? Engineer's report, I'm gonna put off a little bit. Mr. Chisholm,
Oh, okay. Doesn't matter, you can take Ben.
you sure? I
Yeah,
thought you
no,
said
go
you had
ahead.
something you needed to
No,
do tonight.
I'm fine.
All right. Go ahead, Ben.
Just try to touch on a few things here. Just want to let you know that John Mellum called up regarding Mr. Morrison's property. Apparently they had an issue back a while ago, the tree came through the roof. They lost a bunch of their records on that property and how the EDUs were initially calculated and everything. He was asking if we had the initial calculation. And I said, Bill and myself looked through the file. The only thing we had on that was the initial planning module that came in that showed 1,500 gallons per day, 10 EDUs. So he sounded like he was going back over that calculation, or I'm not exactly sure why he needed that. I just wanted to let you know he called and that we discussed that.
I missed, I'm not sure why, I missed what you said. The tree fell through the roof,
Well, yeah,
and they lost their records on what?
I guess he lost. They lost a lot of records, but I guess they lost their original file on the Morrison property, so they don't have their the initial EDU calculation they
Thank
did
you.
for that land development plan. Is
Okay.
what he said. I don't have anything on that. I think the very first thing we saw was the planning module that came through. So if he did that calculation before, I don't have it in my files. I don't know if you guys would have it in your files or not.
We can look, we can check the Morrison files and that'd give Karen something to do.
My gut feeling is that maybe they were looking at redoing their EDUs there or something like that. And I know there was discussion before about, hey, what's left in Concora? That kind of brings me into that. That letter we did back in April of 2012, we left a little bit of a buffer, but with the last 3 years of flows, we had about 26 EDUs remaining. That was, I believe, that was before Mr. Morrison purchased any EDUs.
He took 10.
It's before he didn't purchase them, he
No.
reserved
He
them.
reserved
I
bought
don't-
one, bought one and reserved
Bought
9.
one and reserved 9.
Yeah, I'm not
No.
100%.
He bought one years ago, and he reserved 10,
Oh,
because
he reserved
they were
10.
both
Oh,
offered the
wow.
chance to buy 10.
I'm sorry.
Both of them were.
Okay.
So I imagine, well, the one would not be accounted for, really, because we did it off of flows.
Okay.
So there are 11 EDUs off that 26. And looking briefly at the flows for last year, I didn't have December's yet, but the peak, the 3-month peak is even a little bit higher than 2011. So I did a rough EDU calculation of the past 3 years, and you're looking at even a few less, maybe like 23 or 24 EDUs. Typically, once he hooks up and you're actually doing the Chapter 94 and planning on that, they'll look at the 5-year average. When you look at this, the 5-year average just doesn't really do it justice what happened in the last 3 years and 4 years actually. So you're probably looking, like our letter said, 26 EDUs, maybe a few less. Now that is with a 2,000 gallon a day buffer, which is around 13 EDUs.
So 26, 10 of which he has, so there's an extra
26,
6.
10 of which he has.
So there's
Actually,
16
I would say 11.
of which he has, okay.
No, he has the one that he purchased and the 10.
And the 10 that's reserved.
So,
That's kind of where we were looking at. We had 10 to 15 EDUs as a buffer zone with the.
So bare
Now,
bones,
the
you're
re-
looking at probably
the-
like 28 EDUs, but we left a buffer there because of that.
I asked Ben to check on this for the big more reason. I counted lots and houses in the Municipal development. I think there's 17 total lots and houses back there.
It's right there, ain't it?
It's right there, just up over the hill is a line to connect to it. We put a pump station in, get them up there, we got them. I shouldn't say we got them, but they're online, everything's good to go. However, I would like to say, if Mr. Morrison does not take advantage of his reserve capacity and purchase all 10 of those, we review our position on how many EDUs we are willing to sell as a reserve. Because we're going to need at least 16 for the Municipal development. If we end up selling them all, then we're going to have, whenever it comes time to bring the Municipal development on, we're going to have to put another plant in there. All right?
Yep. You'd be very close, and you wouldn't really have any EDUs left for the type of situation you're dealing with right now. If DEP says, hey, there's something up here, there's a house, there's a property you have to hook up, an EDU there, an EDU here. I don't know exactly.
To be perfectly honest with you,
Don't get excited. Let's see what happens in 10 years.
That's what I would be worried about.
That's what triggered this.
Because don't forget, 10 years he loses them.
Well, no, that's an annual.
That's an annual.
That's annual now.
He bought them in
Annual. It's not
May.
10 years, sir. It's
It
annual.
runs out May the
Right.
10th or something like that is when his reservation
Yeah, you
period runs out.
you review that
We didn't
annually.
give him a,
If he purchases them.
He
has
bought them
10
in,
years.
yeah, he bought them in the
can
middle of the
reserve
year.
them on an annual basis at $300 per EDU. Okay?
Yeah.
If you
That's
don't-
what I'm
if
saying.
you don't
he didn't
buy
purchase
'em-
them.
No.
No.
just
If you don't
reserve.
buy them, you've got 1 year of
That's right, you got 1 year.
guarantee, and then you're at
if
risk.
he does not come in with, what, $35,000
Yeah.
and purchase them, I would like to sit back and have the authority just review how many we are willing to reserve. Because we have to keep for our needs to try to keep the burden off of our present customers. And
Yeah, because that infrastructure's gonna be bad enough.
if we have to put in a plant down there, it's gonna be a heck of a lot more money.
Is there any need at that development?
Hmm?
Is there any need at that development?
No, sir, there was no need on Trendle Road, and it made those folks hook up. At any rate, that's where we are.
Alan.
Ben, go ahead, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
They're small lots. Very small.
Well, and that's really what I had on Morrison and Concora there. But Sunshine Hills, we were out a couple weeks ago and started the survey before we got snow the last couple weeks, but and really cold weather. We were out. We did get the actual lot surveyed, and we got all the control laid out for the entire development that day. Since then, we haven't been out. I have the sewer plans here. I want to take back. We're trying to find a good benchmark for this whole thing because, with the water tank, you want good elevations. If you ever expand the system or hook in anybody else, you're going to want good elevations on that system so you can tie everything back together if you ever in the future.
How high is it up there, Elmer?
Hi. I'm hoping, there's like no USGS markers anywhere close to that development. And typically you can kind of get one close and GPS a point up there and get it relatively close as well. But I'm hoping we have good datum on these sewer plans. We need the sewer plans either way, just for the design of the water line in the future. It'd be nice to have copies of those. The sewer is actually much deeper than I would have expected it to be up there. We pop lids at the top of the hill. Actually, the good news is, with as deep as that sewer is, we'll likely be able to get a gravity connection on that lot for the treatment building. I think, the manholes at the top of the hill, the one right near the front of the lot is 11 foot deep.
Oh, yeah.
And
Oh,
the
I know
one-
why there it is.
And the one,
It's for the access into the buildings. That's why it's so deep. I forgot about that.
I was
That
shocked when I pulled those manhole
Hey,
covers
that's
off
true,
that they were that deep.
That
Well-
shale went up like this when they shot it. Right up the road, you can see this. We looked up. I can't see how the water line stayed in the dam. I don't see how it stayed in there.
But I think it looks like in that development like they came out of the back of the houses with most of the sewer, if I'm not mistaken. There's a lot of cleanouts that go around the house. So it looks like there's probably a lot of basement services and they
A
go.
lot of the tie-ins for the gravity flow systems started at the front of the house, went clean out around the back, came back in and came in through this way and
Yeah.
get them hooked up.
See, typically when you do a system nowadays, you would make those people replumb out the front because you don't want to put the system that deep. I was shocked. I popped the first manhole, the one down on Eisenhower a little bit further, and I think it was 16 foot deep, something like that. Our rod wouldn't even go the whole way down. And I thought, where does this go? And there is a little bit of reverse grade back that little leg back toward the creek property. And I thought, okay, well you need to pick that up, but that's still really deep. And then we went over to the other one that was a terminal and popped that, and it was all of 11 foot deep, and I couldn't. We sat there and scratched our heads for a while, like, wow, why would that ever be that deep? But like I said, the good thing is you'll likely be able to get a gravity connection in there.
Yeah, tell me, review again what you still need to do with the surveying.
Well, we've only surveyed the lot. We haven't surveyed any of the roads yet. So
Okay.
yeah, at the very least for the water project, the survey that you would do for the water project is going to cover the treatment project would cover at least the roadway and everything. So the next day or so will be most of Eisenhower, I would imagine. Weather dependent. We're trying to get out whenever we can. We're going to look at these plans, hopefully get a good benchmark that we can maybe tie into that fire hydrant on site. So.
Another thing when you're doing your designing on that, I know we've kind of casually talked about it a little bit here in regards to making sure the building itself is more than suffice and big enough. Build it right the first time. It's a little bit cheaper. Before you really get a committed thing, communicate with us. We may want to change it, make it bigger. I don't know.
Yeah, I'd like to get a kind of a concept thing laid out with an actual building size when we get some sizes of equipment and everything.
I would like, to my honest opinion, I would like to see it designed to the point that you can pull a vehicle inside a garage door with space after everything else is in. That would be a good rule of thumb. That way there's enough space to put any extra things that we'd have to do for upgrading or whatever. Because what it would end up doing for us, it could end up being a repair point for us, or over short-term storage for some of our other facility uses. You know what I'm trying to say? Because we have nothing.
I said something to Sam about that property beside it that's for sale. It's $148,000, by the way.
Ben, there's some information available, I don't have it off the top of my head, from an organic survey for up there, Act 220, when that was the one for elevations, but I don't have any way to back up the numbers in those documents. I don't know whether you want those or you want to go with your GPS or what you want to do.
Well, I'd like to see what it is. You know, maybe it's tied into the datum. You know, N88 or something like that.
Pull up what I've got and either fax it down or give you a call or let you know.
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay. Because I've got a lot of the old documents from back in the very beginning when we first got it. And some of the stuff that was done prior to that, actually we got a little bit of it, so I'll review it and see.
And like I said before, we did pick up another water system, and we're kind of working them together at the same time. They should be, I think tentatively we'd like to get the other one in for permit around May. So I'm thinking probably around the same time for this one. One thing, and I don't know if we ever got information on this before, but the well 2, the pump in there. I'd like to get some information on that. Anything in manufacturer. I think it's a 5 horsepower. What I'm looking at, the reason I'm looking at that is I can.
They're all Grundfos.
I believe it was a Grundfos, but I'd like to get pump curves. I'd like to be able to try to. I'd like to look at the option of within the pump curve, pulling that pump back and being able to downsize treatment when you have a tank that large there, because you're not supplying pressure or anything with the well pump. You're supplying everything with the booster system. So if you're able to pull that back and downsize any treatment you have, you obviously save a lot of money, and you got to kind of balance it with the pump running more and the size of the treatment. It's just
probably drop down to a 3 without any
3 years
problem.
old.
That's kind of what I was thinking, but you may be able to.
The history says we're going to have to change it next year.
I mean, trust me.
Get it done, you'll be putting another one in anyhow, there's gonna be
As I
time.
said, history
Yeah.
says we're gonna have to change it next year.
Mm.
Okay.
We'll be lucky if we get this up and running before we have to replace it, okay?
All right.
Right, Sam? It's gonna be about the same time.
Unless we get lucky.
I mean, we may just use what we have for the time being, knowing it's gonna have to be replaced. Yeah.
Well, it's nice, like I said, we're doing this other project, and they have much larger well pumps. They have a 10 horsepower and a 7.5 horsepower. Now, they do a lot of irrigation and things like that, and we're like, you're killing it with these large pumps. You know, you don't really need it when you have a storage tank like we're doing here. And it was like an epiphany the other day. I'm like, why couldn't I do the same thing here? If you have, because we're going to have enough capacity in a storage tank. It's not like we're going to have like a 40,000 gallon storage tank. It's maybe a day and a half storage. You're going to have the capabilities of having 2.5, 3 days of storage, maybe 3.5 days of storage. So, you know, where you have a high usage day, you'd be able to make that up overnight or over a couple of days in a low usage period. So it was one of those things like, you know, you could save money in the equipment. So. And that's really all it on Sunshine Hills. Hopefully I'll have some more for you next time. And then I guess if you want to discuss, if you have any questions or you want to discuss kind of these options.
We can go over them late, just to let everybody know what we have there cost-wise and all that other good stuff. So whenever we go into that meeting, we'll
Well, we still know what he has to hook up to.
where and where.
You know,
And then the idea is, what's he gonna do to get to us?
Right, and we've discussed different options before. This was kind of putting down some of those ideas on paper. This isn't like the end-all, be-all by any means, but the reason for such a big cost increase with the 4-inch force main, you're really going to have a submersible pump station that has the capability of pumping 80 to 100 gallons a minute to be able to scour that line. You're not going to be able to do it with a grinder pump. It just won't work with the velocities in the line. So that's one of the big issues there. Obviously, you have a lot more line because you're going to have to rerun the line the whole length of that 2-inch low pressure sewer. With that, there is some, you know, with boring that, there's some concern as far as boring that right next to a 2-inch line. I guarantee it's not straight. They have a very hard time when they're doing that. And I kind of looked at it and, you know, maybe even with this option in and of itself, if you wanted to go something like this, you could do an easement back, because he's hooking on, an easement back to Schoolhouse Road and not run along 11 and 15 at all. I don't know if that's ever been, anybody's been discussed that at all. But you have a township road behind. You would not have to deal with PennDOT, no PennDOT permitting.
You mean this way, right here?
Yeah, coming back.
Right here.
Yeah, coming back this way. I mean, because you're going through his property, he owns the whole way between the two
Yeah,
roads.
probably the local, he'd have to.
You'd still put the pump station here.
Yeah, okay.
You'd still put the pump station where it's at. The reason I cited that was because it's right next to the treatment plant.
I
So
see.
What's the distance coming down? The distances are pretty much the same. It's gonna either even be a shorter route, wouldn't it?
yeah, you're probably going to end up being a little shorter.
Yeah.
It'd be close. It's going to be close. I don't think it's going to really increase the cost. Not having to deal with PennDOT's going to lower that price per foot.
That's in case we
installation.
have to go up past here, correct?
What's
If we have to go past DeKoven?
yeah? If you were
On this side of DeKoven, I should say.
yeah, I mean this. If you wanted to go with a new pipe the whole way, I would actually recommend. And as I was doing this, it kind of, you know, saw that option. But if you were going to do this the whole way, it's probably better to go Schoolhouse Road the whole way. And then, if you're going to do a submersible pump station like this, that would likely, if you have an easement through there, you'd likely be able to pick up some of those homes in the future up the hill. You know, as far as planning for the future, you would have a pipe back here. You're going to have a force main connected in, and you're going to have a capacity in your pump station here. When your normal usage on this lot is only around 2,000 to 3,000.
Well, if that's the case, then that takes the rights away off of, wouldn't need any rights away from Mr. Wood if we stay within this township.
Well, you would need the one just to get back to it.
Mm-hmm.
You would need, because I imagine if you do this proposed submersible pump station, you would own that. I'm assuming. I mean, that's a larger pump station. It would be larger than even Mr. Morrison's pump station.
I do not see that scope of work occurring to that level.
Well, I mean, it's
Not to bring him on.
Not to bring them on, okay? So, I mean, my honest opinion is that's a very valuable thing. I think we need to make sure that's kept in our files for future reference. I think we need to address the second one.
I would say even if you wouldn't look at doing that type of option now.
And you're saying a 2-inch.
Huh?
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
That's
You're
right.
saying a 2-inch. You wanna make that a motion?
I would look forward to doing that. The only concern I have with this, and I know Ben and me have a little bit of issues here, is his engineering evaluations of the scrubbing procedures. But you're specifying this as a 2-inch low-pressure sewer line, am I correct?
Right.
Are you figuring that as HDPE?
Here's the thing. I ran the analysis quick on it when I was doing it. Now, the only problem with the analysis is that I can't differentiate sections of pipe. I can't say zone 1, SDR 21, zone 2, HDP. If it was run as SDR 21 the whole way, you would be close on your velocities. It would be below 2 foot per second. Barely, but it would be below 2 foot per second, which is a red flag as far as the E1 design is concerned. It being HDP, you're right in the sweet spot. Now, like we all know, HDP, the 2-inch HDP is smaller. It's not.
Inch and a half.
Yeah. You're probably 1.8 or something, whatever it is, but it's not the full 2-inch line.
Yep. Okay. Now, the question I got here, the blue line on that purchased right away that we have, is that figured HDP?
I didn't figure it out as anything right now. I just called it 2-inch low pressure. I figured it could be SDR 21.
Okay.
But your existing line, as I understand it, is HDP.
Yes. A couple questions I have for you in regards to that. That blue line that you have at that end. I'm not so much worried about the upper end because it's very similar to the other one other than a smaller line capacity size. That line, say that little blue area, if we upgraded that and took that to the state road to do the tie-in,
And I think we talked about that before.
would that give us a little bit less resistance to give us the ability to, would it help us at all? Or is it something that I'm nitpicking?
As far as adding in other units and
I wanted to make sure that we are getting the maximum amount of EDUs that we can get out of these lines. And I want every EDU that we can pull, just for whatever could happen in the future, could avoid us doing anything on the back road and anything for as long as possible.
Like I said, the problem is that the analysis will only let you run one pipe or the other. So I can say, if it was all SDR 21, it would be great. It would be okay. It would be just on the borderline. If it was HDP, it's fine. It's in that. So I can't say, okay, if we run a couple extra feet of SDR 21, from the model, you could probably ascertain that it would be better, but you're still going to have a bottleneck.
What would happen if you increased that line, that blue line there, up to 3-inch?
I actually didn't run that analysis with you.
You understand what that's going to do? Because see, here's the issue.
I could split that out as a separate zone.
There's a reason I'm got that concern, because the problem we have with this 2-inch line down front that's biting us at the present moment, that we got to do all this upgrades, is because it's such a long line. Where if we'd be halfway down, we increased it to 3-inch, we wouldn't be doing any of this. It would all be ready to go. Am I correct?
Yeah, I think you'd probably be fine.
If we put 3-inch from the school driveway all the way down through.
Clear down to the road.
Clean.
Clear down to the.
I can't say 100% that you would be okay, but you would be in a lot better.
Capacity, yes.
He's talking down to here.
Yeah, here and up to here.
Yeah, if we'd have went from the high school driveway all the way down and had a 3-inch line from there and 2-inch from there all the way up, we probably wouldn't have none of these issues to be dealing with. Okay? It's the distance that I was worried about, and you understand, I'm just trying to make sure that we're getting the most that we can out of this.
I could look at doing a 3-inch line even from the whole way from State Road the whole way back to the manhole as a separate zone and see what that.
Just one thing that I see on here that I want to clarify. There's a yellow streak up there that says authorities construction to property line. My opinion, the municipal authority is responsible from the 537 plan is responsible for that little blue section between where your red hash marks are to the yellow line, to put that in, and whatever we're gonna do down here.
And if you
That's
look at,
our responsibility. From that yellow line to that proposed duplex grinder pump system, that should be Mr. Ward's responsibility to put in there.
if you look at the cost estimate, I broke it out
Yes.
that way.
You gotta
I
estimate
said
that.
subject to wage scale and not subject to wage scale because he would be doing that on his own.
Okay.
The reason, I know we talked before the duplex grinder, we discussed, very preliminary, said about $14,000 for the duplex grinder. That's their base model, their duplex grinder that everybody's gonna get. I imagine a lot of the units down there are that DH, I think it's 152. It's around $8,000,
So when you're
$8,500.
saying a duplex grinder, you're not saying a duplex like we use for a residential grinder?
No.
You're
Well,
saying-
it's still gonna be a grinder. It's more or less, the
It's
tank.
like the pump stations that we already have.
Well, no, that would be your 4-inch, that would be your 4-inch, the 4-inch option.
Well, what's
This,
this one?
this is a proposed grinder pump unit, just like the grinder units, just like you have. It really, the only thing that changes is the wet well, the fiberglass wet well. And that's what you're gonna pay for, because it's larger, it allows for a higher capacity. You're still gonna have your regular E1, 1 horsepower pumps.
That's what it dictates the higher cost then, is the bigger well.
Question on that then.
It's kind of weird how it works,
What would be wrong with us putting, did you look at the system like Morrison's putting in?
That, the same system, I
What
priced,
he has.
I priced out that, like at Morrison,
Quadplex.
the WH 482, where you'd have the capacity to put in 4 pumps, would be around $17,000. That's the cost to purchase the station, with 2 pumps in it. So you're probably looking around the $25,000 to install that. The station I had in mind for the time was up to 20 homes. It would service up to 20 homes, 270 gallon capacity. That's the wet well capacity. 5,000 gallons per day. That's $17,000. So in my mind, whether you put in this wet well that only can fit 2 pumps, or you put in something like Morrison has, where you have the capacity to put in 3 or 4 pumps, you're paying the same price, basically. So why wouldn't you go with something that's maybe a little more expandable? You'd be able to put
Like
the 3
Morrison's.
and 4 pumps.
That's what I was
in.
getting at. That's what I was.
The problem is,
I realize our capacity in our line could be the issue, which we could
That's-
always upgrade in the future. if
Right,
We
you
had
could-
to.
you
So
could
that'd
try
be the
to-
only weak link we could ever have to address later on will be line capacity.
you could try to bump these lines up where we can to get,
You know what I'm getting? I'm trying to tune it as much as I can to get the maximum.
I just called it out
use
as
of it.
2-inch pressure right now, just to get the ball rolling.
Right,
But
okay.
I do understand that, and that's kind of what I wanted to tell you. It's just amazing from that initial duplex grinder unit that's $8,500. If you go up to a little more capacity, different wet well, it doubles in price. And Kevin with Site Specific said the only thing I can tell you is that initial duplex grinder that we made years ago, the mold's been paid for. We've cranked that thing out. I said, it's your best seller. He said, yeah, it's our best seller. If you go to a duplex grinder, you buy that. He said, these other units are something we've created over the, for different significant, different need applications that have arisen over the years. So, they're more expensive. They haven't paid for themselves yet.
Okay.
But I mean, this gives, at
It's
least
a rough idea.
a rough
Price
idea,
analysis,
starting
good
point.
deal.
So,
Something we can work with him on. And there's no price difference there, Sam, so, that could be a negotiating thing now because of,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
well, yeah, I mean, you're looking at that station with the potential, I would say it's very much like Morrison's, so you could take that pump station over, whereas most people own their own grinders. But this is more of, with that, it has the capacity to be more. It has the capacity to be a pump station with 4 pumps, so just like Morrison's.
So is that our consensus then, that we're gonna run with the 2-inch line as opposed to the 4-inch all the way?
I would say that concept anyways, you may
That concept
be able to
would
upsize those lines a little bit.
Yeah.
The price,
And
The
you're
price
looking
isn't gonna
at
change a
3-inch
whole lot,
line from the-
if you upsize those lines.
And you're gonna look at a 3-inch line from the
I
the
would,
road up to the,
I would like to know his
Schoolhouse.
opinion of
Schoolhouse.
what would be the largest possible line we can put up to the manhole down to the state road.
And still scour it.
And still have satisfactory engineered critique on it. You understand what I'm saying? You guys make a detail out of the scrubbing thing.
It shouldn't take long, because I did the analysis with the 2-inch, and I wanted to make sure, I knew the discussion with HDP or SDR 21 would come up. And I wanted to make sure that the SDR 21 wasn't gonna be a problem. And it was right on the borderline. That's what, when I put it in there, I was surprised, I thought. Because there's really only, as far as I know, there's 3 other homes here that are on that section right now. 4 other homes.
And if we put a 3-inch line in there, it's almost the same as a 4-inch HDPE.
Right, yeah,
Which
it's
is
close.
just, which is just.
4-inch HDP would probably be around.
Which we've had all
3.3.
through this system. Everywhere, the biggest line we have is a 4-inch HDPE line.
That's correct.
So we're putting kind of with the 3-inch line, we're getting the maximum flow that we can out of this system. If we go with.
Are we okay to move on?
Yep.
I'll take a look at that then.
We okay to move on? Do you have anything else?
I think that's it.
Anybody have anything else for Ben? Okey-doke. I don't know that there's anything down below here that we're gonna need you for anymore, Ben. So, I'm gonna say have a good, safe trip home.
All right.
All right?
I have a question for Ben. The line from Schoolhouse to State Road, that Henny's talking about maximum capacity. What would happen if you buried a 4-inch or a 6-inch pipe and put the 2 or 3-inch HDP in it? Or the smaller, the other.
Oh, you.
Bury a sleeve big enough to connect to later.
I see what you're saying.
So then pull the other one out.
You know, you could look at it that way, or you could look at actually putting the other line in right next to it. I mean, laying.
Oh, okay.
You know,
Side
laying
by
a
side,
4-inch
yeah.
line and a 2-inch line in the same ditch,
Okay,
or a
I
3-inch
just
line.
was wondering,
You know,
I'm
the
not-
excavation,
you really are just paying at those small pipes. There's not a whole lot of over excavation,
No.
so
I'm
there's
not-
not a spacing issue there either.
Truthfully, I'm not seeing an issue if you get away with the 3-inch line in that. It's taking care of everything else in this, in Penn Township.
I'll have to see with that small
I would-
section if that.
I don't see where you're gonna overload that line ever. You're gonna end up replacing the 2-inch line
One
up
thing-
State Road before you have to worry about that
Yeah.
being a capacity
I'm
issue.
thinking if we have to do anything else to pick up anybody on this side of DeKoven, we can take advantage of the townships right away, going up through there and run a 4-inch line up through there and pick,
Well, not only that.
what, is it hill?
But
Or
if-
hill or hilltop?
I don't
Hill.
see that happening in a long time, but yeah.
No,
the
it's not a
ability's
long
there.
time, but
You know,
if
homes-
we need to go up past there, we can use the townships right away to get there and run a 4-inch line up through there. So
As long
once
as we have
put
the capacity
once we
in
put
each
this
line.
in here, I don't see, a need to put another one in there.
And what I would say is, if you have to hook in homes in the future, yeah, that's definitely a concern. But if there's ever a business that buys one of those lots down there and says, hey, we want to hook to the sewer, they're going to construct you what they need. You know, that's going to be up to them to hook into the system. It's not going to be, hey, DEP's mandating you to connect them. It's going to be, they have to come to you. They have to say, hey, we want to buy capacity. We're going to put in the new line down the road. We're going to connect in. And you're going to say, well, okay, well, our 2-inch line here won't handle it. You know, they're going to have to upgrade that line, or they're going to have to put in their line the whole way back. So, you know, that's definitely, you know.
If it's a big business.
Yeah,
It's gonna
exactly.
have to be substantial before.
Well,
this
Right.
it's the
capacity
same thing,
becomes
it's
an
the
issue.
same thing that we did with matzo balls here. They had to run that line up 274 to get to their building, or to get to their store at his expense. It's the same thing. It's just a different location. So that's what I'm looking at. Once we put this in along here, in this road here, I don't think we're gonna have to upgrade.
I don't think so. I
So,
think we're gonna have the maximum we got for that.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm getting at, giving us, put the most that we can in now on our behalf. And if you put the quadplex, if the quadplex is gonna be needed, unless it's not, if it's overkill, we don't wanna spend the money on it, you know what I'm saying? But I think you're gonna have enough volume in there with 2 of them in there. I think it's well worth the money, because.
Like I said, the nice thing is that they're the same expense.
Yeah.
They're the same price. You just have the flexibility in that station.
Okay, yeah, okay. Ed, you have anything else for him?
No, thanks.
The
We're ready.
DMRs for Decorah and the Cove, are they?
They're floating around in the, yes, in there. Ben needs them.
Ben needs the DMRs and stuff.
That's for the, Cove, Chapter 94,
No.
Duncannon, Chapter 94, the flow analysis report.
Go ahead, Ed.
I'm working on those things as well.
All right, here's what's happened. Yesterday morning, yesterday morning, I got an email from DEP, and one of the testing parameters was missed at Sunshine Hill in 2012. This is the testing schedule we get. There's 58 lines on it. I duplicate this. I give it to somebody else to go through and mark with a highlighter all the tests due in 2012. I mark one the same way. I compare them. Both of us missed a line. The resolution of the problem, to correct the problem, we're going to do a special test a month late, or 2 months late, in February for 2012. Then when the consumer confidence reports go out, there'd be a note attached to the consumer confidence report that there was a late test done, a makeup test, to inform the customers as to what happened.
So what was the contaminant?
VOCs. On mine, when I go through, the second one I do of these, that I have somebody else mark up, I mark in red ink when the test is done. But on the very last page, that's where we missed the VOCs, which we're going to do the makeup test for. Now the VOCs, whenever we have done these tests in the past, have always been negative, so I'm not worried about that. The only thing that I can think of to help prevent this in the future, since I already thought I had a redundancy, is get somebody unfamiliar to also look at them, to mark the schedule, so that if something's missed, like I missed the VOCs in 2012, I didn't miss I missed marking them to begin with, so I wasn't looking to do them, even though we re-review this in the middle of the year. So what I'm going to plan on doing is in the future have somebody unfamiliar with these do a third one. That's it.
What were the BOCs? Is that water tests or sewer tests?
Water. Sunshine Hill.
Quick, the system meter flows as well. Whenever you get those for the water.
Yeah, I think that's about.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine. That's the other thing I think I needed for the phone.
Yeah, I'll pull those out
All right,
tomorrow, the next day, and get them down to you.
that's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ben.
We'll see you guys. Thank you.
See you, Ben.
See ya.
Any questions on this? We had a failure of EQ pump controls on the new plant at Cove. Those controls are being ordered now, just to make you aware of that. I'm working with Granger trying to order new controls for the EQ pumps, not complete new controls, one set of controls for the EQ pumps at Cove. That's it.
We got no spares.
Well, yeah, we're going to order a spare set too, if we can get them ordered. It was not easy.
You do get Granger's book every year, right?
Yeah. I had Granger's tech department on the phone for a half hour today,
They do
trying to
have-
match these controls.
Okay, they do have them on the internet too, if you request it.
I'm not doing it. They're going to have to tell me these controls will work
Okay.
for what I ordered,
Right, I understand. Yep, yep,
because they do not have matching numbers.
right. I can believe that.
Now, if they want to come up with a substitute that they tell me will work, that's fine, I'll do that. Yeah. In fact, that's what we are doing. We're trying to avoid going back to Cutler Hammer and paying through the nose for these parts that they continually put in something so specialized that then you have to
There's a lot
dance.
of, exactly, there's a lot of times where they won't buy the generic start relay. They'll put a little doohickey on the side, so you can't put a generic one in there. You know, unless you go to a big extent to change things around, you have to buy their part, and that's, you know, it's not.
We did get our VFD back, and I haven't had time. That just came back Monday afternoon to test it to see whether it's going to hold or not. That was the very expensive $3,500 or $3,800 repaired frequency drive. So I'll let you know what the outcome is on that. I'm not going to authorize the bill until we do check it. Yeah, Sam and I picked up a gate. We're going to eliminate sliding that large rolling gate for with a man gate. We're going to make our own little man door, man gate. The big gate is just about impossible when there's ice or snow or anything on it at all.
You just need a passageway because you don't need the open gate.
So we'll have the swinging gate. We'll leave the big gate over to it, chain them together, and just open the swinging one until we need a truck in there. Then we'll open the big one. But the big gate has been to the point when it's got ice on the rollers, you wouldn't believe it, but you have to use a bar to move it to get it started. It's just that impossible.
Just because the ice on the rollers.
Yeah. The ice just
builds up.
The gate is so hard, heavy, that the ice just acts like a rock, like you stuck a rock under your tire. You can't get it rolling. You have to get it rolling a little bit and back and forth and back and forth, keep breaking the ice off of it. There's 4 of them. Think about it. If you consider the weight of that gate is, I don't know whether it's.
So no matter what you do, no matter how hard you shovel it out around them, keep the snow and stuff on them, the ice coming from up above.
Oh, yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yep, okay. I thought I was doing a good job shoveling around, cleaning it up.
Oh, yeah, you can have the gate completely open, seriously, but it just won't roll when it's bitter cold out. It gets extremely difficult to roll. So Sam and I came up with the idea, and we went down for what, $78 and what was it?
No, $159. It's on his check.
Okay. Anyhow, we're going to make a man door into the big
Into the man cave.
Into the man cave, right?
There's going to be a 70-inch television in there.
Yeah, right.
Anybody have any other questions for me or on this business with the water mistesting? I'm sorry about that. It's just one of those things.
Consider yourself reprimanded. I told you, that's not your fault, that's John's fault, we'll blame him. Anybody have anything else?
Yeah, that's right, it is his fault, he's not here.
There you are, he's not here to defend himself, it's his fault. Anybody have anything else for Ed?
It is complicated, and that's why I had the redundancy on it. But it doesn't matter, missed anyhow.
Yeah. Do you have anything else for us?
No, I'm gonna head out if you guys don't need me for anything.
Have a good night.
Thank you, Ed.
You're welcome.
Field representative report. I do have 1 or 2 items on here that I need to point out. All I got to do is find them. We did get the 100-foot raw 1.25" HTPE that we purchased for that. You know, you'd ask about that last month. That is in.
Okay, I guess from what I'm seeing, we're all out of E1 repair parts now?
We do not have any more. We gave them all to
So
Mr. Lanker, he uses them to repair our stuff and
Understand.
does not charge us parts.
that's been pretty good to us then.
Yeah.
System went online how many years ago?
2006.
2006 till now. That's not too bad. That was all the extra parts that came with. To bring Joe up to speed, that's all the parts that came with when we did the Perdix upgrade down there. They supplied us with all these parts, and we finally just used them up right now.
Two items, one in particular here, the under old business, uninstalled lateral for the railroad street. I had purchased the stuff for the lateral tap at Susquehanna concession stand. I've purchased
For that also.
That's going to be our stock item. Now, he could not find a 3-inch saddle, 2-inch saddle, I'm sorry, for the connection at the school. He's looking all over the place for it, and he think he had to go to Oklahoma to get it.
LP?
Yeah. So whenever he told me that, I just told him, well, when he's looking for that, he may as well look for a 3-inch because we're going to need it anyway.
Right.
So I ordered that stuff, so whenever they all come in, we should have what we need, and it's just a matter of scheduling the contractor and the
Which one you talked to up at LB?
Rick.
Ask him what kind of Mickey Mouse operation. I'd give him a bunch.
At any rate, that's where we are.
That's unusual for them not to have that.
Yes,
It really is.
Yes, I agree. It is. And now, on my second page here, the follow-up to report of a damaged grinder pump top at 9 Schoolhouse Road. I spoke with Mr. Graham. He's the owner of the property, and he said the damage was done by the TV cable truck turning in his driveway. All right. Now, I took pictures of it.
I've seen pictures on the income.
I think they're in there, I'm
Right
not
here.
too sure. I took pictures of it and showed them up. I got that, and that's already been repaired. All right,
Did
that has
you
already
rob off
been-
of our other stuff, or?
No, I had to buy. We had to buy a whole new top. And then you take a reciprocal saw, and you cut that whole green top off of it, and then you have to get a metal band that goes on like you're putting drain pipe together, and band those two together, band it all together to make it like that, and rewire it, because you know the wire goes through the top. That's already been taken care of. Now, naturally, that is not normal wear and tear. I'm going to recommend, or I'm going to suggest that as the field representative, that the municipal authority forward that bill to Mr. Graham. He said he's not going to pay it. He didn't do it. He ain't going to pay it. That's neither here nor there. I asked him whether, if he had a witness saw them to do it, and saw the cable company do it, going up to the cable company, present that bill to them. Present the bill to the cable company anyway, or his homeowner's insurance. But I can't see making our customers pay for that damage when somebody else ran over it. Now, if you'll see, there's a finish in that picture, one of the last ones.
That's the last
All right,
one.
the last one. You see the stakes along the side?
Mhm.
I took 2 metal stakes, and I drove 2 metal stakes down to protect that from his driveway. So they should not run over it again, I hope.
Does he know for sure did he see that it was the cable truck?
He said he was told it was the cable truck. He talked to the cable company says they were not in the area. I spoke with the cable company, they said they were not in the area. I have no idea who did it.
You don't,
And
that's not where you wanna go.
That's not our, and that's not our responsibility, I'm sorry.
Where's this at?
Pardon me?
Where's this at?
9 Schoolhouse, right up the street from Cecil.
Freeland's old house.
Yeah,
And it was not
Freeland's.
the cable truck.
I don't care who it was.
I know, but
But at any rate, I think I'm gonna make the suggestion that we forward that bill to Mr. Graham.
Do we need a motion on that, or just gonna do it?
Just a consensus will be fine.
I think consensus is fine. I mean, I think we ought to put a 60-day time frame on it, and after that, we proceed to file,
And there's also something in our rate schedule that says we can also, if we so choose, we can add a $200 fine or $200 charge on that as well. I was just about said it was a fine, but it's not. It's $200 charge over and above labor and material. Do we want to add that $200 to them? Under the circumstances, I would think not, but that's entirely up to the authority.
I'm gonna say give him 60 days to pay it, and if he don't, then we can go through the legal ramifications of it, and if we decide to put it on at that time, we can. That's fair.
Consensus?
If he concedes to this within a 60-day time frame, it's not an issue. If he wants to make a bigger deal out of it and not pay it, then we got the ramifications of going other ways, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
That's being as fair as you can to be, you know? Explain that to him, 60 days.
Yep. Okey-doke.
I don't know what else, I don't know.
That's the two items, there's a big item that I had on here now. Down on the bottom here, under old business, where I'm gonna say follow-up, and there's 5, 6, and 7. Items 5, 6, and 7. 5 is the Beamer property, 6 is Brochus, and 1134 is Donna D. I have not yet heard any follow-up return from those, other than the fact that Mr. Beamer wanted me to call him to discuss the first letter that we sent him regarding the payments of the
Additional connections.
the additional connections. Mr. Beamer does not, as yet.
Yet,
is-
this.
Yes, he is not yet aware of the second charge that's coming from him.
Well, there was
Yeah,
three
because
there
it
that
hadn't
was-
been
that
approved,
weren't-
so that's,
that we weren't billing,
I
right?
did the bill, but I
For
didn't
Beamer.
send it.
Beamer.
Yeah.
I agree.
You need to
And we
approve
sent
it.
them a letter, right? Is that
Correct. Yeah, and he called me back and he wanted to talk to me privately regarding that letter. I told him if he had a concern with that letter, he needed to come to this municipal authority and address the entire authority. I was not in a position to negotiate that letter with him. He's too busy to come, and he didn't show.
did he pay for them yet, or is it?
No.
No, he is
But
not.
that.
I
that's
sent him a
fair.
letter telling him we would be billing him $240 a month because there's 4 units in there, that he owed a tapping fee of $3,500. Because there were 3 tapping fees already paid, but we found out there was a 4th unit, so that's what the letter said. He
That's
owed
what
us-
he wanted to discuss with me.
But now there's also another thing in here where we've got a bill for, well, Sam will bring it up.
I don't have it here, I don't have the bill.
Well, no, it's here.
not.
No.
It's
here?
it's in here.
All right, it's in there. There's another bill in there to Mr. Beamer for the entire cost of that repair, to that duplex grinder pump that's down there. And that's a significant number, because it was, the repairs were due to abuse. The 2 pumps that were taken out of there are unrepairable. Now, the only other thing that we can do, if he wants to come up with things that I can think of that might be negotiable, is the cost of the pumps. Do we want to prorate them? They've been in the ground for, they were using them for, what, 10 years or, no, since 6? Yeah, 6 years, 7 years. Do we want to prorate those pumps? We had to buy them to put them back in there. That's the only things I can think of now. But we're going to send him a bill for the entire thing, if that's the authority's will.
$7,553.35. That was for Walters, the grinder pumps, 25 hours of labor for the field rep, and Linkers Excavating was $1,800. So,
Well, why shouldn't they?
I mean, it was, as far as I'm concerned, it was total abuse of the system.
Why shouldn't they?
For that kind of money, do I need a motion, or do we need a consensus? Is it consensus to send him the bill? Okay, we'll do that. Now, if he wanted to talk to me this time, he's surely gonna wanna talk to me this time.
He might even make a meeting.
Oh, yeah, he might make a meeting.
He might make it. All right?
I would not be in favor of prorating those pumps. That's not fair to any other customer.
That's something you can think about whenever the time comes, you know?
Sorry.
And that's the only thing where I can say we could be flexible.
I'm not
Everything else is-
flexible on that, I'm sorry.
What's gonna prevent this from the future?
Right now, nothing. Right now, nothing. make him put grease traps under each one of his sinks. That's the only thing that I could think of doing, and making him clean them out on a quarterly basis. And
Are they
show us
just
the pump ratio, his pump things, but.
These are just residential?
Yes, it is, yeah. It's a residential, it's a
Yeah,
it's a
that's
duplex.
something out of
It's a
the
duplex
ordinary
apartment, and, yeah, there's something.
Hey,
Now,
it's his
It
apartment,
took,
it's up to him
took
to
6
control
years
his-
for it to happen, it could take another 6 years.
Could take another 6 years, and I'm telling you what, that was totally the worst one that I have seen since I've been dealing with this.
And there's no way to go around and evaluate all of them because they're in an enclosed housing and you can't see them till you pull, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, we
You can't
cannot
look-
go out and find some because the way it's designed.
It's not like going out to, say, a Mars grinder pump, where all I gotta do is take 4 bolts out of the lid, swing the lid back around, look down in it, you can see it.
Or looking down one of our wet wells.
Or, yeah. But
You can't
this,
look.
you have to pull the pump to see what's in the bottom, in the pump chamber itself. Now, to correct, you got a good question. To correct the problem in the future, is to have him install grease traps at each one of his, under the sink at each one of his apartments. Or we can set up and have him pump them out on a quarterly basis. And give us the confirmation of the pumping line. Now, the reason I can say that here, we've asked brochures from that last repair. They said they had drywall on the bottom of that. We've asked them to pump it out. We have not heard a word from them yet as to whether they're gonna pump it out or not. To my knowledge, they're still in hock to us for the one repair before this one.
That surprises me with Dart.
So there's something, we gotta do something there to get these folks'
He knows
attention.
better.
Oh.
You know?
Have you ever seen his bills? I mean, he's on the delinquent list every month.
That's all I have on my report, so.
All right, so what do you want to do about number 6 and number 7? Anything, or just no?
If we heard it, we have not heard anything as regarding them.
Be honest with you, I'm not here every day, so if they would have sent letters, they would have been in the correspondence thing. Did you notice any CC, anything from
No, I
any of those folks? Okay.
So what do we want to do with 6, 6 and 7 there? Send them another letter, tell them what they need to do.
Well,
Tell them they need to respond to us within 30 days.
What was that about?
well, Brochus had the grit, there's the stuff in it.
Brochus had the drywall supposedly in the wet well, and we sent them a letter and said that they had that. We were requesting them to pump it out,
Did we say or we would do it?
or we would do it.
If
And
that's in the
bill-
letter-
and bill them.
If it's in the letter that we would do it,
And we
then
would bill them. Now, do we want to? How do we
Send a
want to
second
handle it?
notice.
Send
Did
them a
you give
second
them the
notice.
time period before?
Second notice, and we don't hear a reply, we will be performing.
Was there a
this work.
time period on that letter? Do
I don't
you
know. I
I don't know.
thank you, Stan. I
Drywall in the wet well, and what was the other one?
But I don't know.
Donna D has I&I.
Where's that?
Where's that one? That's the one, the yellow house just south of the fair house.
Oh, the one you put the riser on.
Mm-hmm. He has I&I coming in there, that you can hear it when you're down there on a rainy day.
See, we seen it that time. We thought maybe it was on the riser, and the riser did fix it.
No.
Okay.
No. Yep.
Well, it's simple. You gotta fix that.
Send second letters?
Yep.
Second letters, give them a time frame of 30 days to get back to
Yep.
us?
I mean, Sam, that could be a running faucet. It could be anything. You know what I'm saying? It could be a drippy toilet.
It could be anything.
Okay, but he needs a result.
Right. We don't want to process fresh water. All right?
All right, I'm still back on Brochus here. We did not tell him that we were going to clean it. If he didn't, so he gets what? How many more days?
30 days.
30 days,
If he doesn't clean it, we will and charge him.
or we will clean.
Right?
In charge, okay. And Donna D.
30 days to get back to us as to how he corrected the INI.
What's I&I?
Infiltration, inflows and infiltration. Infiltration is something that we do not want.
Okay, you got
That's
down
rainwater.
You went down the driveway along the side of the building.
I'm sorry?
You drove down the driveway along the
Yes, I
side of the
did.
building.
I drove down his side, yeah.
Okay, where did the rain spouts go? I never figured out where those rain spouts.
In the ground somewhere.
Where they're going if they went in the old.
They go in the ground someplace, and that's the thing, is they're not allowed to be there.
Oh, no, that's the thing.
You know, so, you know, I mean, if that's the case.
For years, I've often wondered where they went.
If
The
that's-
alarm don't run on anymore though, does it?
No, it does not.
Okay, see, what we did is Sam and me went around when we had a heavy rain one time, we found a couple of alarms going off. Then they put the risers on, and that was one of them. It just sat there and it screamed. And now it's, that solved that problem.
Pretty much.
Pretty much so, because it was just water right from that area, because it was so close to the ground.
Yeah.
Now it's extended up and the water goes around it. So that kind of eliminated that issue. And
Mo had two of them down there that did the same thing.
Yeah.
And we put risers on them, and the last that torrential rainstorm that we had, nothing, that took care of it.
that made the treatment that much more difference than the treatment plant.
Yep, it does. It makes a big difference in that treatment.
And that was only a couple units that we were worried about,
Mhm.
and we weren't even
And
thinking
there's
about
there
that.
is one more down there that I don't see the alarm coming on as much as it used to anymore, and I think Mr. I don't know what his name is, I think he addressed that a lot too, by rerouting downspouts and water away from everything else.
Yeah, I haven't heard that alarm going off
Yeah.
either.
Yeah. So that's all I have as a field representative. Master meter reports are in there. There's nothing out of the ordinary for that as well.
I have a question on your report. On the odor control building.
Yes, that's what I was
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What's the status on that? I mean, is that operating?
No.
We need to move on this, Sam. I mean, no matter what it's gonna take, however it's gotta be, we need to.
I have no idea what it takes other than the fact that we gotta push pipes, tubing through into the manhole and connect them into that manhole.
But it's
We
wiring.
need a schedule.
As a field representative, my responsibility was to insulate that building,
Okay.
all right?
We-
The building's insulated.
Is
we
the electrical
need-
work all done?
Yes.
Okay.
We need to step that up and put that as a higher priority and get on that, yes.
Summer's coming.
Yep.
Well, I think it needs to be experimented with right now because it depends on your tempered days, warm days, cold days, everything else. That all changes. That really makes the convection up along that side there, and I'm sure it's effective. You know, it's going to get more pronounced here as March and April comes. You know, it's not. I don't think it's going to take much more. I think it's a fairly simple process.
And I don't know.
I think
I know.
Saturday morning or afternoon or.
I know we gotta push wires over to the manhole, and we gotta take valves, or the air release valves off, or
Gotta take the
whatever,
air
in that
release.
manhole, take them out of there and put our
quills in.
our quills and stuff in there and get them in, set the pumps and stuff up in the building itself, and that should be all it's done. I'd say you could probably get that done in a Saturday, a couple hours on a Saturday.
Yep.
So we have all the equipment that we need to
Do
do
we have the
it.
tubing to pull it yet?
As far as I know, the equipment is there. I think
Okay.
Mr. Chisholm ordered the pumps and everything else, and I think we have everything that we need.
I thought most of it should be there.
It's just a matter
I
of
thought
getting
it
on it
was-
to
yep.
do it.
Okay.
And I also spoke with Mr. Hallman Jeff regarding the demolition of that building on 1325 State Road. And he's gonna work on that just as soon as he gets a couple of days. He was waiting on the ground to freeze, so he didn't call mud and stuff out on 11 and 15. No.
Well, you may as well, everybody else does.
But at any rate, and so I spoke with him, and he's gonna work on that. Yes, now, have anything else from him?
Thank you.
Yeah. And along those same lines of odor control, we're gonna have to work on the one that's down back at Leonard's Oak Road as well. Something like that.
As far as discussions in regard, you say odor control there, I know there's been, with this thing going on with the COVID here,
buildings and this and that and everything else. My honest opinion is I don't think anything's needed up at that end because you're gonna be dumping it into an gravity flow system. And the distance of the gravity flow system going into the wet well, we already have odor control there.
Into that wet well.
In that wet well. So if we have anything that needs to be addressed.
No, there is none there yet.
But we have the
There will
ability
be.
to add it there, so
will be.
why add it all the way up there in a little building? There's no reason to have another
That's good.
redundancy, am I correct?
No, you are. Yeah, that's
So,
good. Unless, the only reason I could think we could do that is if it sets in that line and goes septic, once it gets into the gravity line, will the smell come out of the manholes? I don't know.
Well, if the smell from out of the manholes, what are you winning?
Well, that's true. I don't know. And I'm not gonna sit here as one of the previous, chairman of this authority and swear up and down that this is the tightest system and there's no I&I.
I understand.
Because anybody that'll tell you that there's no I&I is lying through his eye teeth.
I'm just surprised that you told me how much reduction we've had just by putting them extensions on. That was impressive.
There is considerable, that was well worth the money. And if I think I have 2 more of them down there, so if we run into the situation again, we'll have 2 of them put in there.
I mean, that was just amazing that you're telling me that the operator's not seeing influxes like we were seeing, and it was regular.
Well, he's seeing
some, but it's not
but
as
it's
drastic.
not like it was.
No.
It's not like it was. No. Master meter reports, everything is good to say. There's nothing to report on that. CC, do you have anything for the?
No, I do not.
Dennis.
Well, we talked about a couple of the things already that were on my list. One item, I have had a rough month, so I have a little behind my game. I haven't done gotten things filed for these delinquent accounts, so I get on those. A question came up from Karen to me on what I think is really a board policy issue that I thought I'd bring to you. Apparently this process of filing the district justice complaints, I think it's time consuming and it often
labor intensive.
Yeah, and Karen's question to me was, look, sometimes you just file liens, which is true. If we have a sheriff's sale coming up that we get notice of, we don't have time to get through the DJ process. So I can just enter a municipal lien in the prothonotary's office and it's unilateral. They have no ability to go to a hearing and defend that. If they don't like it, they get notice that the lien was entered, they'd have to file a request with the court to have it set aside, and of course you need a lawyer to do that, and it's a process. We've used the district justice process as long as I can remember, and I think a lot of authorities do. The reason is that it makes people, if you just get a notice in the mail from the prothonotary that says a lien was entered against your property on January 15th in favor of the authority for sewer rental and you had a blank, they just throw it in the waste can, all right? You don't have to do anything, it's just a notice. The people that aren't going to pay anyway aren't going to be affected one way or another by it. The philosophy with the DJ is you're filing a suit against them, they get a notice, to go to a hearing, and there's a whole procedure. The thought is that it's a little more effective because it takes it's more of an attention getter, and that maybe you'll get a better response to getting your delinquencies paid. Karen's point to me was, well, the people that we have been dealing with that just don't pay, that are chronically delinquent, we know it doesn't work, right? So is there a reason to persist with that process? Takes up her time, your filing fees are higher, now presumably we get them back someday, but nonetheless, you're out with the cash flow. Sometimes we can't get the people served by the constable, it becomes a hassle. Her question is, should we, in more of these cases, should she just tell me to file a lien? Just give me a list and we just file a lien. That's not a time-intensive process. The filing fee's like, I don't know, $19 or something. I don't know the answer. It's really a board call. It would really kind of have to be left to, I guess, you and her discretion as to which ones you don't think it makes any sense to file DJ complaints on, and just let me enter liens. New people that are coming on, I would say try the DJ process, see if it works out. Or if it's been successful with somebody before, stay with it. But if they're just
habitual.
Yeah, maybe she has a point that's just crazy to tie up.
The Prothonotari's office was the one who suggested this.
Well, yeah.
Whenever she went up with a bunch of them, they said, do you know that a lot of people just have their solicitors? So that's where she realized that,
Well, and it's true. I mean, you can do it either way. You don't have to file it to DJ at all. It's just, in my experience and other authorities I've represented, that's been the procedure for the reasons I outlined. But when it ain't working, we don't have to do it. So maybe that's something you just want to mull over. It's not something that requires any emergency action.
If you just file with the Prothonotary, if you file against me at the Prothonotary, do I get a notification?
You do. Mm-hmm. You get a notice directly from the Prothonotary that says a lien has been filed against you and the amount of blank by Penn Township Municipal Authority. That's pretty much all it says. That's what it says when a judgment's entered.
So when we reach the Sheriff sale point, it's not going to come as a surprise to me that my house is going to be sold out from under me.
Well, I guess it shouldn't.
No, because you're getting.
I mean, as long as I'm getting the notification.
You're getting notices that liens are entered, so you.
See, that's the only thing. That's the only concern and the only question that I would have.
But they're getting those notices when we do it too.
Right, and I send before
I agree.
Before we've ever done a sale, Sam, I've always sent at least one, if not two, letters to the people saying, I've been directed to do this, folks. And it's coming, so this is your last chance. Now, it generally doesn't do any good, but they've gotten plenty of opportunity. Is my point. Aside from the Prothonotary notices.
Does anybody have any discussion on that? Or
yes,
any questions or whatever?
I have input. This would relieve some problems that we currently experience with the district justice. Now,
well,
Karen and I both think that we should, for the beginning people, enter into the letter for the payment plan, file against them, continue the plan. But, after this has happened several times, then just skip that completely and, just start filing liens.
Yeah, and if you're inclined to go that way, I would just leave it to the discretion of Susan and Karen as to which ones to handle that way. I mean, they're going to know, you're going to have the best feel as to where.
Well, it would be her. It would be up to her. And I think she was did she give it to you? She had a sample paper that she showed me okay.
Do we need a motion or consensus to do that?
I think it probably should be something show up in the minutes, maybe just it doesn't have to be a motion, you can do it
by consensus. Does everybody agree to have Dennis do that?
It's a little different.
On habitual offenders. Okay, let the minutes show that it was by consensus.
Yeah. Now, I already do it of course, when there's an emergency issue that we have to get the lien.
Well, there's some places where we have
we know we can't get service, so there's no point in even screwing
when it's
around.
A mortgage company and they're not paying, he does that when there are people who we have no idea where they are.
Yeah, because all that happens then is the constable tries to serve them, they can't serve them, they try again, and 2 months have gone by and you're nowhere.
That pushes costs up.
Yeah, it's just all right, I'm satisfied with that if you are, and we'll just go from there. I think that's all I can think of that I have.
Well, the only few things I had on here was the Eagle's Nest.
Yep.
And the follow-up to this was this that we gave you.
Yes,
this month.
and
you had said you had not worked on that. As
no, I'll get on it. I got it marked down here to move forward.
Okay, that's the only thing. Anybody have anything else for Dennis? Nothing else for Dennis? Treasurer's report.
Okay, the delinquent notices are in front of you. There are only a few checks, well, there are only a few checks this time. You'll see that's the next part, because she was waiting to see what the results were going to be from tonight's meeting. We might have a lot of these where it says new lien put on by Dennis. She's already, if you look through that, you'll see that there's going to be a whole bunch of them that we're suggesting that we just have him put in. And when I look over them, I can tell you that these are people who...
Susan, question for you.
Yes.
1152, how's that one working out?
I have a question on that as well.
Hmm.
That is inhabited.
What?
Oh, yes, it's been.
The fireplace. Well, that we didn't know. And I don't know
what facilities are there. That I do not know, but I do believe that warrants checked out.
Well, I would think that would warrant the. I'm not. Yes.
Yes, it's heading that direction as well.
And I would suggest that we hold fast until we find out what the township's investigation proves.
Put it in a burned out place?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
No, it's just
No.
a very small compartment.
I think it's just one room.
Oh,
It looks like one room.
I see.
Karen Tash.
I thought they were living up in the motel.
No.
I had got the story that they were in the motel and it was too small that they go down and sit down there and watch television.
I thought I saw lights. I thought I saw lights in there the other night whenever I came over.
I haven't
But
stopped
then
in
I
the
was
building over, I don't know what's in there.
said, "Oh, this must be my imagination." So.
But I mean, are they keeping up with?
No, I haven't
No,
seen him for.
we
I don't believe he's
You
been in
understand
for
what I'm saying?
a month or two.
We agreed to do one thing
Right.
for the benefit of the other, and if this is not working, then we need to. We gave them we did everything we could for them. Asked them to continue to get the.
You want to buy?
They had come in for a while and made the monthly payments, but I don't know when the last one was.
I think we ought to send them a note and remind them of the stipulations.
That's what I was getting at. I mean, the stipulations are that
They continue to pay the $60 a month on the already accrued bill.
The delinquent part.
Yeah, on the delinquent part.
Because we abated the others.
We abated the others. And oh, by the way, if you're living in there, get the heck out.
I mean, I can't.
That's not our business.
No, that's townships, yeah. Yeah. It's a good point. No, we just, yeah. That's a shame. We need a motion on accept the accounts, the delinquent accounts report.
I don't think so.
I don't think, that's just normal business, right?
Yeah.
Monthly invoices.
Okay, your monthly invoices are high because there were $19,000 worth to the Duncannon Borough, the O&M operations and maintenance, that is, for the Duncannon plant. Every year, at the end of the year, she takes how much we paid in compared to how much our share of the expenses should have been, and we owed $19,000. That was in the folder with her letter on it. The BCO meter reading fee from United Water, that's just, we charge them $60 a month for their slop sink. They charge us $36 a year because they send us water readings.
That's for the year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they do that every year. There's a new one from Direct Energy, and that's for the Cove wastewater treatment plant, and I should have put in there electricity. We've switched over to Direct Energy, and when they found out that the Cove uses such a high amount, they asked me to pull that old PP&L bill and fax it to them, and because it uses such a high amount, they're giving us a lower price on that. In other words, it qualifies for a lower rate, like 6 cents.
They give you discounts for spending more money.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's why that's separate. Now, what I would like to do, if it's okay with you, they have everything else that we have up there is taken out automatically. Rather than have to write a check every month, I'd like to talk to, they had on the bill to pay this bill automatically, contact us. So that's one I would like to recommend. And since it's a fixed expense, I'd like to treat it like the other PP&L and no phone bills and just, get it done ACH.
I'll make a motion that you change direct energy to an ACH payment.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Who wants to pay the bills?
I'll make a motion the orders be drawn and bills be paid.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Financial report, Susan.
There are two financial reports. I gave you an ending one for December 31st only because when I did the bank reconciliation, there were three things that stuck out. That one says withdrawal by the PA unemployment company or compensation, unemployment workers, unemployment comp. That was on the bank statement. They took $39.52 out. Now they've since put it back in this month. It was a mistake on their part to take it out. They don't even know why it happened. But in order to make my bills, to make everything work for the auditors. Also, we got an NSF check for one of our customers, and the bank charged us $10. So that was just to bring our total up with what the bank says. Since then, that's a strange situation there. The bank said that the account was closed, and when we called the lady, she said, well, it's a good account, and she went and talked to the bank, and they said, well, yeah, you've got plenty of money in the account. We never sent a check to them or told them that didn't work. Well, she came up, I gave her the copy of the check that says not enough funds, account closed, and driving her back from her. So I have not taken, I charged her all those back fees.
We did not get that back yet.
No. She's just got that. No, we don't. That's just an NSF check, and she hasn't paid it yet. I'm not sure why she didn't come back in, but that's all right. And now the other one is January 1st through January 31st. The only thing I would say is I've added a new line. I stuck it in the middle, in the back under revenue summary. It really isn't revenue, but it's the monthly transfer for capital reserve for $8,800. That would be for January. That's since we're no longer paying the Duncannon Penvest loan. We are going to be putting it in. And I couldn't put it as an expense because that would take it out of the bank account, and it really isn't coming out of the bank account. It's just, we have separate books. So, and under that revenue summary, the bottom one, miscellaneous refunds to capital projects, that was our share of the sludge truck. Is that right? Was there a sludge truck they sold?
Yes, there was. That was the big dump truck.
Yeah, okay. That was our share. We got that check, so I just put it into capital reserve also. And I'll ask you for any comments or questions. Pretty soon we'll be under $6 million that we owe.
$6 million.
Any questions on the financial report?
I'll make a motion both financial
Yes,
reports,
thank
the year ending 2012 and also the January 2013, both be accepted subject to audit.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Speaking of the audit, that will be the week of the 18th.
Executive Secretary's report, is that in there? All right.
I think it was about the things that you were talking with Dennis.
All right. The next JOAC meeting will be February the 11th at 6:30 p.m. Duncannon Borough Building Office.
That's Monday.
That is Monday. Okay? Everybody had an opportunity to incoming and outgoing correspondence and periodicals. Okay? Old business, already went over the uninstalled lateral at the Railroad Street. CDBG grant application, we have not as yet seen that, but we still gotta get stuff together for that. So, all right,
Someday.
thank you. Emergency generator, rental,
I'm gonna say we table that.
table it or take it off?
Take it off, because if he's gonna start something here in May and everything else, I'm gonna say by the end of the year here, within 12 months, we're gonna have our own generator
Yeah,
and water
what
system.
we're doing now seems to work. I mean, you know,
I
we
mean,
haven't had
I
a
think
situation.
I'm willing to take the chance.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, Alan?
Rather than spending $100, what, $100 a month?
Yeah.
It's gonna affect
How about
you.
consensus, is that what we
Yeah.
remove it?
Yeah.
Okay, we already spoke 5, 6, and 7, we did 8. We already did 3 as well, that is 8. Bulk water rate and water rate increase. Now, that bulk water rate is to, it's for the Daimler trailer brake. Now, there were some suggestions that came out that I put them together as to what we had. I don't know whether you had a chance to look at them, but that's something that you wanna look at, and, cause we're gonna have to set something up on that.
Let's do that next month. I
I
have
mean,
been
what-
so busy, I didn't
What you
concentrate on
presented, I
that.
don't have an issue with. It tweaked it a little bit and boosted things a little bit. I think it was okay. I didn't have an issue with it, just to give you my opinion right now.
Table for March, okay.
Okay?
Yeah,
But
because
I-
I'll send out the bills at the end of March, so if we-
Alright.
I'll get something in writing for you guys to see for that.
Alright, we already spoke about the stone mill revision. And the back thing here is,
What's, I mean,
Go ahead.
that's a revision for the sewer side. I mean, the other side kinda just went out the window. Kind of was unique. I mean, when
Pretty
I saw that, I said.
I think once we told them that we were going to, we would supply the water to them, that's one off the table, or, you know, out of their concern, they don't wanna deal with us, you know. However, we start dealing them with water, we gotta remember that there is a well on that property, on that lot over there, that I, as chairman, would like to have. So, at any rate.
I mean, I'm also really concerned about making sure we have enough capacity on our standpipe too. I don't want us to be, I mean, we do wanna double check this thing before we sign the final documentation for him to make sure we don't wanna
Absolutely.
put an extra 10,000 on it or something like that. I mean, I'd hate to be short by 10,000 gallons. I'd sooner be heavy on it than short.
Agreed.
I'm sorry, I just.
Agreed.
Okay.
Agreed. Number 11, there's long-term, the long-term project worksheet. That's that thing we put together last year. I added one on the bottom. Purchase and install manhole and lid. I call them liners. That's to keep the eye out of the manholes and stuff. It should be. She should have put it in your folder.
I'm at the end of my packet.
I'll put one in your mailbox, you can see what you got, okay? Another thing that we could do.
You can have that and put it in mine.
Alright, another thing that we could add on there is the northern extension for the low pressure. You know, just to put that on, just to record that, but that's gonna have to happen this year, so.
We have northern
Oh, yeah,
extension.
clear up the top.
Clear up the top.
Yeah.
It's already
Very first
budgeted
one.
for.
Imagine that.
We're
Look
covered.
it up. We're-
The only thing I
Wake me up.
The only thing I see we need to make, and we may want to tweak this thing a little bit more since.
That's why I gave it to you, look at it.
I'm gonna make a
the changes.
suggestion for next month, is I think we need to tweak the water system upgrades. I think we're gonna put more money into it, because what we have is grant money for fire hydrants.
Yep.
So with that being said, we need to put more money into the main structure upgrades so we can hook the fire hydrants.
Well, we
to it.
need to find out.
Look it over, red pencil it.
I mean, I realize, and we have the ability to do this.
We need to find out whether we can use any of that money. Is it just for fire plugs, or can it be used for?
I thought she called them and found,
I don't know.
I mean,
I know she called him, but I don't remember what she said.
I need to make sure that
What she said.
clarification. Last I
We don't
heard, it was
know.
just for fire plugs only. Well, you can't put a fire plug out in the middle of nowhere without it being hooked up.
Oh, you
That's-
can't, and paying $140,000 for, that's a lot of fire plugs.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think that's kind of crazy.
So,
but-
at any rate, there it is, look it over, red pencil it, come up with any ideas you got on there, bring it back in, for March, okay? Anybody have anything else in old business? No other old
Oh,
business?
yes. This delinquency accounts, flip it over to the back side, just for everybody's reference here. Okay, back side, very bottom tally, the last 3 rows. Okay, this is February. Take a look at them numbers. Okay, take a look at the progressive increase. Take a look at where we're gonna be at approximately if we run at this rate by the end of this year. We need to do something about this, and I do not know what. Dennis, it's gonna be unacceptable. I'm sorry. It's not.
We're gonna have to get tougher.
You know,
I
can't
just
get blood out
don't-
of a turnip, you know, what are you gonna do?
I know, but Elmer,
You
you
gonna shoot
can't.
people, what are you gonna do?
It's not right. It's just not fair to the rest of the structure. I mean, I don't know, Dennis, what your suggestions would be, but I would encourage some serious deep thoughts in this.
Let me try to think about it.
And I'll tell you one thing I was at. I went to just for curiosity the other day, I was off, and I was up in that area and had a trip anyhow, so I just stopped in for the sheriff's sales, okay? Most of them, if not all of them, there was probably 2/3 of them were held out, okay?
For what?
Were held out, okay? The other ones were for substantial loans against with banks structures, okay? You don't see the issues with this kind of stuff in there. I don't know why or where it's at or what's going on, but this stuff, these effects weren't there. They were all through mortgage companies and structures like that. Now, that was kind of surprising that I would see it at that level, because the time you were up, the last time I was up, when you were up there, when I was there with you, there was some other ones similar to the issue that you were there for. Not this time. They were.
And most of what you see is mortgage foreclosures.
Yeah, mortgage foreclosures, but this stuff is
Now, of
still.
course, tax sale, but that's a separate sale proceeding for real estate tax.
But this is still.
It'd be nice if there was something like tax sales for municipal claims, wouldn't it? But there isn't. There isn't any centralized
Correct.
way to get those like we have on the county level for real estate tax.
I mean.
We did get one sold though, I think the Derby property sold.
Yes,
But-
it was up there. That was one of them was up, but that was a mortgage
We
separate
should-
thing.
We should
more.
get some money, yeah, out of that.
We were delinquent with that, but that was
Right.
still the mortgage was the main structure
Yes,
on it.
that's what prompted the sale.
Yep.
Where's that one at?
Let me see.
Up on the
if-
hill. Down Perch Chapel.
Up around wherever, the guy that was the trailer, he's up on Hilltop, or no?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll reach out to
up the chapel, above the chapel.
Henry, I'll reach out to the Authorities Association again. You're not the only ones facing this. Maybe somebody's coming up with some ideas.
But if it gets to that point, we know what half of that does on rates.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and that's twice. And I don't know what the answer is. I don't.
And that's a sorry thing.
I mean, the idea would be is if we could stabilize this thing, but we ain't even stabilizing it, and
We ain't
that's.
even coming close to stabilizing.
Well, I thought when you were bringing on water like that, you shut their water off.
Well, a lot of people, we don't have water. The only people, we have people with water on Sunshine Hill.
Right, I mean, $1,283. Water should be shut off.
Well, that is a.
That's what United Water and American Water do. You're gonna pay, they shut your water off.
We can go there.
You can.
So that's what, 1, 2,
It involves working with the borough, but there's no reason why.
Some
it
of
can't
them
be
do,
done.
but if some of them are there.
I mean, Daimler Trailer Park, they're coming up on $3,000, shut them off.
That's
That's just probably a month though. isn't it?
yeah, considering whether they got.
That's
how many
more than a
trailers are
month.
up there? Yeah, how many
Oh.
trailers are up there? There's quite a few of them.
Well, that's their water account there, they have
Oh,
20,
That's all right.
we get 20,
163 umbrella.
we get 20 sewers from them, because the borough gets 3. We lost the 3 on Lincoln Street years ago.
Okay.
So we bill them for 20 sewers.
And 20 waters.
Because if you shut the water off,
No,
nothing to put in sewage
no,
in the
because however
system.
many trailers there are,
Right.
23 or whatever.
I mean,
I'd like to see us shut any water up in Sunshine Hill, we can't find the goddamn house.
There's only
Oh,
one
my
of that
God.
on the word, there's only
All
one
right.
of that on the word.
that was just for
That's-
references, that's all I wanna say about it. It's something that I don't know, it's just not good. I'll be always open for suggestions. I hate to be a grim reaper of
Yeah, it is
bad
bad.
news with it, but
You got a good point,
Yeah.
Stan. The sewer, we might have a problem shutting things off for them on them, but the ones under the water system.
Well, like I said, with Diamond, you
If
shut
we
the
come
water
up-
off, and not putting in the sewer then.
If we put an account, put a definite quantity on the amount of money that we're allowed to have out for them, we can turn their water off, if you really wanna do that.
I mean,
Yeah, we geared up for it at one point a few years ago, and for whatever reason, at
You
that
just
time
never went
decided
before.
not
Well,
to go
because
that route.
if, in the case of the borough where they have the water, if we shut the water off because they're not paying sewer, then we still have to pay the borough.
And there
That
might even be some
water-
extra costs.
Bad
See,
problem.
Susan, that's what I said, that's where we'd have problems with the sewer, but the water, we can do the water.
Our
yeah,
own
but
water, yeah.
look
Yes.
at the increase on the water. The water went up 1/3 this month.
Yeah, but the bills just went out this month, and so a lot of people don't pay, so next month you're going to see a difference.
Okay.
Bills
okay.
go out quarterly, and they were just sent out, well, they were sent out January 1st, so this is for the end of January. A lot of, people don't necessarily pay it right away, they know it's a quarterly bill.
But I just want everybody to look at this and then
Right.
watch it for the next couple months and keep these numbers in the back of your mind, so you got
Mhm.
something to compare yourself with, because if you're like me, you don't carry this with you, so, okay, no.
I know what you're saying, $79,000 is,
A lot of money.
everybody would pay out.
All right. Okay, new business. Number one item, purchase of 3 Stewars adapters. That's for the 3 fire hydrants up in Petersburg Commons. They do not have the Stewars adapters.
When did you notice that?
You know when I noticed. Now is the question, is do we wanna purchase them now, or do we wanna add them to our Sunshine Hill project and buy them there?
Is there
I
any
know
benefit to that?
Pardon me?
Is there any benefit to that?
I don't know.
Well, look at the prices, it's not gonna break us.
No, but I mean, why would,
I don't see a benefit, I mean, the problem is okay, I make a motion.
Well, the money we're getting.
No, it depends, that's why I'm asking, how do we wanna do this?
Sam,
Huh?
what's the money from the county for?
Fire hydrants.
Well,
See, that's what I'm asking.
yeah, fire hydrant. That's a fire hydrant.
Well, how many more years is it gonna be till we're ready to spend that? You see what I'm
okay,
getting
I
at?
understand what you're saying, hold this off.
Until you see where.
Okay.
What are these?
Stewars adapters are for fire hydrants, they're the new fast connects for the fire trucks.
Yeah. We might be able to pay for that.
They're quarter turn, is that what they are, Bob? They're a quarter turn as opposed to.
So they're called okay, instead of,
Stores, S-T-O-R-E-S.
is that all capital letters or something?
I have no idea what the acronym is.
All right, because it's not capitalized here, and
No, I
I'm
know.
wondering, why didn't you
Get
say
pretty
quick
fancy
connect
with them big words, ain't it?
adapter?
Get pretty fancy with them big words,
What's that?
acronyms and all this other stuff.
I learned
How many
that, I
years
learned
is-
that while I was in the service, and it just stuck with me.
Oh, okay.
All right, so what do we want to do? How do we want to handle
I
that?
make a motion, we buy them now and get it over with, and then it's not something that's on here forever.
Motion's been made, do I have a second? You're shaking your head.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, I'll order them.
Sam,
Yes.
dumb question. Do they have those on the fire hydrant throughout Duncannon?
Some of them, yeah, pretty sure they do. Some of them.
They put
Because
new
what
hydrants
I'm-
out
What
there.
I'm saying in a timely manner is you still, all the trucks have the screw on that have the storage adapter on the back of the screw on. Now, if they're using them on half of them in Duncannon and half if they're not, then it's not a big hurry to do it up there.
Look into it first before,
Okay.
if you feel it's justifiable, follow my motion. If not, I'll rescind it next meeting.
I'll look around and see what they have. I'm pretty sure up along front of Market Street there, they are all on.
I remember John Myers at
Myers.
one time, he was updating, now whether he had updated
Yeah.
all of her or
Yeah.
not. but that's a standard fixture on the engine to have that adapter on there.
All right. No parking signs at the entrance to Petersburg Lane. I mentioned that to Chairman Hallman. He suggested that I contact the homeowners association at Petersburg Commons to get their input on that. I have on my cell phone, I have a phone message from the secretary, and I had a verbal from the president of the homeowners association that says that they would have no problems with us putting that in. As a matter of fact, they don't want people parking in there anyway. This is a section from the corner to the first street light as you're going into Petersburg Commons. The reason I'm asking for that is gives us clear access to our water lot, our water meter lot, and
Well, you have to ask the township to adopt it.
yes, yes. Is there a problem if I asked if we? Well, let's put it this way: can we send Penn Township Board of Supervisors a letter requesting that ordinance? And can I have a consensus for that or a motion?
Who's gonna be paying for the sign and the installation? Does that fall in the
As far as I'm
homeowners?
concerned, that's a township road, right?
Pardon me?
That's a township road, right?
Yes, it is.
I'm gonna say we're gonna end up paying for the sign, township's gonna end up putting it up to meet their guidelines, okay? And the homeowners association or whatever, that's kinda how I'm seeing it. But I'm pretty sure the township's gonna have the authority to put it up because they gotta put it in with the legal boundary lines.
Right.
Okay?
But it's our request, so I would say it's.
That's the way I see it.
I think we need two signs, no parking between signs or whatever. Motion to send a letter?
Yep.
Can I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 I will
Opposed, same
abstain.
sign?
I will abstain from that.
Okay. We're going to get Karen to send that letter, correct? Now, I see on Channel 8 advertising.
Are we offering in that we're paying for the signs and the labor,
No.
or we're just asking them to
Asking
do
them
the?
to set the ordinance, and if
Pass an
they
ord-
want us to pay for it, they can pass it along. If they want to pay for it, I'm not going to argue with them.
Okay,
Okay?
we just want them to
Mhm.
consider an ordinance.
Yes. Tubby's is now advertising that they are serving food.
When did they stop?
If everybody remembers correctly, there was a young lady that sat in the chair up there that said that they are not serving food. Our comments to them at that time was if they ever start serving food, then they would be required to install an in-ground grease trap.
For that well.
How do we want to handle that?
I think we need to send a copy of those minutes if we can find them. I knew you were gonna say that to me, Susan.
No, I think it was a letter that was sent to them.
Okay, a letter. There should have been a letter sent to them in regards to that. Maybe we can find another letter in regards to that. Look underneath Rock Cat too, because that's when that will happen.
Well, we call it, we just have one file. It's
Okay.
Tubby's for us.
Okay, that's fine.
I know it's in the minutes too, but remember that was the time when Dave Matafka's group, Glaze told them they didn't have to have one underground and,
Could just be under sink.
yeah, that could be under sink.
There is one under sink in there.
Right.
Because I inspect that one. However, we had in that meeting.
Yeah, because
when
after
she was
that
there,
whole
we
fiasco.
specified if they ever started to sell food, they would be required to put an in-ground grease trap
Well,
in there.
yeah, that under sink is nowhere near what you need for that.
What did they say? Oh, you can lift the lids and see if there's any problems.
Because I remember her saying all she ever cooked, she made one pot of chili and that lasted all week.
And they nuke everything that they bring in there, and they don't, at any rate.
Just amazed me.
The advertisement said it was meals this time, so.
Oh.
So what are we gonna do? We're gonna send them a letter, we're gonna send them a letter notifying
Yep.
what we
Must
have?
install a grease trap. Part of the rules and regs.
Any questions, please contact us. I mean,
There you are.
I don't think it's, I know where we're heading here with this, and the same atmosphere. I think they're trying to make a booming business out of it. I think when she came in here, she thought it would take off more too.
Right.
And I'm not saying that they don't do some. I don't think it's, I mean, I look down there every now and then when I'm going through, there's not a lot of vehicles in there during the week.
Right. I get 10 minutes.
So,
I know I've gone by there lots of times and you can smell the burgers.
So we're going to
Yeah,
require an
I have.
in-ground.
Send them the letter with copies of that minutes.
The previous one.
Well, and the previous letter and the minutes of that, and telling them.
That tells them what they
That'll
had to
tell them
do.
what they need to do, all right? Item number 4 is the Borough Manhole Survey, and I got a note on there, that's from the JOAC meeting. Help me, enlighten me.
they're gonna go around and evaluate the manholes that we consider that, and we're gonna get charged for our fair share of them. They're gonna evaluate them, see if there's any need to be repaired, upgraded, ionized in them, whatever it would take to make sure that they are satisfactory and not leaking.
Okay.
Okay, then basically it's maintenance of the manholes, observation of the manholes for maintenance, okay? It's basically the simplest way I can put it in there.
Okay.
Am I correct, CC?
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
1/3.
Well, they're gonna go through the whole borough, but they're just gonna concentrate on us on the 1/3 of the shared lines,
All right.
okay?
Did you sign these? All right. Now, item number 5, reimbursement of the Ford Ranger. And that's because they bought it with the JOAC funds, and we paid a third of that. They are now saying that they don't need that truck, and they're gonna pay $2,000. $2,000 as our share, correct?
They're saying that they're using it for things other than sewer. It's not that they're not using it anymore.
Okay.
They're using it for things other than sewer, and they feel bad about that. That's
It's
what
gonna
he
get rid
said.
of that little
That's what
sting. It's
Dwayne
gonna-
said.
And they feel bad
He
about
feels,
it.
Dwayne said, I feel bad about it because we're cheating you guys. That's what he said at the
Give us our
meeting.
money then.
Yeah, that's good.
No, that's what he said, you're gonna get $2,000 back.
That's
We paid
the honorable way to
4,000.
handle it.
Huh?
We paid 4,000 at the time
Yes.
toward that,
All right.
and they want to give us 2,000.
How old's the truck?
Oh, I don't have the year
I don't
here.
know.
All right,
It's
well, we already
it's-
agreed
it's-
on that
we
number. We already agreed on that
Yeah.
number. Okay, no
Oh,
problem.
man, that truck's not worth
No
$2,000.
problem. Item number 6.
Sam, you're just pissed because you never had a chance to do it.
Pass. Item number 6, replacement of Shade Reilinger. As everybody knows, last month, Shade Reilinger submitted his resignation for reading water meters and mowing grass at the water lot up on Sunshine Hill. Since then, am I correct in saying this, Susan? Karen and her husband have requested that they be considered
Yes,
to read meters and
Yes.
mow that grass. Am I
Yes.
correct?
yes. We're just not sure who's going to be the actual replacement. We're looking at it for tax reasons to see whether it's better for her to be the employee or for her husband to be the employee.
I guess we need to hire them, if we're going to hire them. So I need a motion.
Did you hire Shane, was it, or Shay?
Well,
Shane was a,
I would say at some point, somewhere along the line, he was hired.
He was given payroll?
Oh, yeah.
Withholdings and everything?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, he's not a 1099, he's a W-2 employee. And Karen is, so she's I told her she's the logical winner. Otherwise, I have to enter her husband as a new employee,
Yeah.
but this might put her above the $12,000 mark, and then she has to pay the township $52 for the LST, so, you know.
We needed
Hey.
to interrupt.
You know, that's true.
You'll crush them.
so can I have a motion to, or do we want to hire them, or do we want to advertise? Do we want to look for somebody else?
For the same price that we were doing right.
Yep, that's what I told
That's
her.
what the motion,
I,
is that your motion?
I'll make the motion, I don't have a problem with
Because the
that.
same cost as what we were paying?
it was 200, he gets 200 a quarter. That's what, and I told her that.
Got a motion?
Second.
Motion been made and second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay. Now, item number 7. I was talking with Susie Hammaker one day, and the topic of, she said that they were looking at putting a water storage tank up on a lot in back of their apartments. I don't know whether it's a Fouts Heights or Fouts Apartments. Which one's on Butcher Shop? Doesn't matter. The apartments that are on back of Butcher Shop, they're going to put a water tower in there for storage to supply their apartments, because they have problems with arsenic in one of the wells, and they want to combine their wells and basically do what we're trying to do. And I asked her then if she would be interested in entering into discussions with the municipal authority, because we are talking about doing the same thing on the next hill over. She said she would be interested in that, and I was hoping I'd see her tonight, but evidently something come up, she forgot about us or whatever. Would the municipal authority be interested in discussing that with Ms. Hammaker, to see whether we can get a win-win?
I mean,
There's beneficial to both of us.
I mean, we already got Ben piggybacking 2 engineerings here. I mean, there might be a way of helping work engineering on that with the agreement that we get taken over at a later date or whatever.
We may be able to tie the systems together, too.
In the future, we could. That's
I don't know. And one of the things that she asked me is, how would that work? Would that work similar to the sewer? You know, that she could build monthly on that. And I told her then, whenever I was talking with her, that's things that needs to be worked out. I don't know. I would assume it would be something similar to that, but that's things that need to be worked out, and we can discuss that. What's she going to contribute? What's the municipal authority going to contribute? And how's the whole thing going to come out? And if she doesn't like, if it doesn't work for them, then she goes her way. If it doesn't work for us, we go our way. Are we interested in discussing that with her?
Sure.
So will you give me the authorization to invite her?
Absolutely.
All right. That concludes my...
You have number 8 there.
Where's an 8? I don't have an 8.
No,
Which one are
we
they?
have an 8. Woodland, 5 Woodland.
Why don't you postpone number 8, because we're sending a letter to number 8 for more information. And then you can act on that one next. She's very upset because she...
Mine doesn't have an 8 on it.
Well, you come to the big store, I'll fix you.
That's
right.
because-
I don't care.
Yeah, mine doesn't have an 8 on it.
Right here. Right there.
Yeah.
That's,
And
Both of mine.
everybody's in agreement for me to try to get a contact about crossing the bridge down here with the sewer line?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna do a little discussion see what I can fish out there. And also the still ensuing discussion with the borough in regards to water. Hopefully I hear back from Dwayne, because he was supposed to hook me up with somebody, but I haven't heard that yet, so.
now what are you
Well,
going,
like,
you're going to
talking
contact
about
Penn
that.
Tap. What'd you say? I'm
And,
sorry. You're
in
going to
regards
contact.
to run a sewer line across the bridge to get it out of their right of way when they're doing all the improvements on the infrastructure, so when we decide to want to put a wet well in or upgrade, you know what I'm saying, Susan?
No, but I'm going to look it up at 257 right there. I'll play it back.
That concludes my agenda. Does anybody have anything else for the betterment of the organization?
Yes, I make a motion that all the present officials be retained and that the depositories and signatories be the same as last.
And I'll second that.
No!
Yeah.
No,
No!
no,
Yes.
No!
nay.
You
All right.
forgot the
That being the case,
reorganization. You've got
your present chairman resigns in everything. Everything. All right?
You have a
Sorry, Steve,
reorganization.
All
You
right?
need a chairman, vice chairman, secretary, treasurer, assistant treasurer, executive secretary, right to know officer, legal services, blah, blah, blah.
Status quo, I make a recommendation, status quo.
I'll second that.
Once I said, I resign, period, everything.
I make a motion that we have Elmer Knob as president.
I'll second that.
I'll vote against it. gonna
1 year,
vote for
Elmer,
Sam.
just 1 year.
What's that, Bob?
I was
You
gonna
need
vote
1
aye
year.
for Sam.
See?
Thanks, Bob.
You need 1 year in the hot seat.
And to be honest with you, I need a break. All right? I need a break.
I will agree with Sam.
I don't have a problem being the vice chair or coach, whatever your call be over here, but,
It needs a break.
I
And it's
need
not
a-
that you want to entertain it in the future, correct?
Correct. As a matter of fact, I would gladly take it. I would probably gladly take it again next year, if offered. But I can't do it again this year. I just need a break.
Elmer, if he takes vice chair, then you get laryngitis once a month.
Yeah, there you go.
That could be a-
Albert.
Yeah, that sounds good.
If you can't make it, somebody appoints me as vice chairman, or vice president, that'll cover you.
I need a motion to extend this meeting.
I'll make that motion.
I second it.
Motion been made and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
I guess you technically have a motion on the floor, but somebody can remake it. I'm not sure if that was serious anyway.
Let's
I'm
put it
just
this
letting
way.
everybody
Well, I
know.
didn't know, well, the
Yeah.
thing is, I'm not too sure that my treasurer can make that motion. I thought it had to
Oh,
be a
I
board
would have
member.
to be a board member.
No, I know that, but then somebody else
Yeah,
made
somebody
it.
did make it. I
Yeah,
think
it was
I-
made. We're just ignoring them.
That's all right, just we'll do it over.
I made a motion for Elmer Knopf, president.
I'll second that.
President, my God.
Chairman.
I was
Chairman.
gonna say, holy hell.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign.
We can put you all the way up there in the White House if you want
I was
to.
gonna say.
I'll do that.
Do you want to do? Okay. I'll make a motion that we appoint Sam as the vice chair.
But Henny, you volunteered to do that. Didn't you
That's
hear him
all
say
right.
it?
Don't matter, it's fine, let him have it, let him have it.
So did Sam.
I second that motion.
Any further discussion? Any additional nominees? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Now we can make everything else stand, with the exception of, what was your position before?
He was secretary, and I think I was
All right, we're
vice
gonna.
chair.
No, Scott Smart was secretary. You
Cheerleader.
haven't had a secretary for a while.
Well, what was I?
You need a secretary. You were the vice chairman.
That's what I thought, I was vice chairman.
You need a secretary.
We need a secretary, we need an
An
assistant.
assistant secretary.
An assistant secretary.
Yes, an
And
assistant treasurer.
treasurer.
Why, you want to be
Yeah, usually-
secretary?
All you
That's a
do
tough
is,
job.
all you do is sign any of the official documents. It's not, it's, okay?
It's not what, it just sounds good.
Yeah. Did you make it as a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second that. All in favor? Any further discussion? Any additional? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Treasurer.
No, wait, who's the assistant secretary?
We didn't.
Oh, I was going down the list from here. Because then it's,
I make a motion that we retain our present treasurer, that's Susan Long.
Second.
I'll se-
then your assistant secretary / assistant treasurer. Oh,
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign.
all right.
So
Now
they're
you
friends
can do it.
together. Those
Yes.
two are.
Yeah.
Those two are together.
Now you can do it.
Assistant secretary, assistant.
And that's gonna have to be Henry.
I'll get it by default.
I'll make that motion for him.
Second. Want to sign that? Or is that-
No, he already
Oh,
did.
okay.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. All opposed?
Executive secretary.
Determined.
Executive secretary, I make a motion that we continue with Karen.
I second the
Karen
motion.
Knight. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Right to know officer.
Is that you? Is that her?
That's her.
That's her.
Yeah, Karen,
Okay, I'll make that motion.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. I would like to make a motion that we retain our current professional staff, meaning Kleckner and Farren and Hill Associates, Hill Engineering.
Second.
So, all right, am I correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. You second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
How about the repositories?
I'm happy with them. I make a motion to keep them as same.
I'll second that.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. What else you got, Susan?
Well, the plant operator and the backup plant operator, I don't know whether, we did that last year because we weren't sure whether you were supposed to or not.
All right, I'll move that we retain our present plant operators, both water and sewer, and our backup operator.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign.
What about a field representative? Or is he a paid?
He's
Well, you know what,
he's a
yeah,
paid employee.
he's paid, yeah, the operator is a 1099.
Okay. What else, Susan?
That's
We have
it.
everybody?
Oh, the check signers. And right
I
now-
thought that was already taken care of whenever we did this. We usually use the chairman and who's the other one? The
Secretary.
The chairman and the secretary were the signers.
Corporation, one of those three were the.
Well, for years, it's been Sam, Elmer, and Henry.
I mean, I don't care. if
We
you
don't
keep
use
it.
position, we use the same?
I don't care if you keep them or not, it don't
Oh,
matter.
because of the signature cards at the
Yeah,
bank.
Because of
Yeah.
the signature cards at the bank, make it a lot easier, you're right.
I make a motion, to keep them the same.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. You know what, I should be letting you carry this one, because you're.
You're doing all right, go ahead.
You don't do insurance broker or anything every year, do you?
No.
Anything else, Susan?
If we, no, that's all you did last year.
Good.
See, the chairman didn't used to be that gray when he took that chairman. Hey.
Are you looking for a motion to adjourn? I'll make that motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Good night.
Yeah, night.
Study hard, Melmer.
Elmer,
You're even exempt yeah.
Elmer, I thank you very much. You got it Monday too.
Yeah, you
Thanks,
However-
Bob. See ya.
Duncan has the chair, they have the chair of the JOEC.
But we got a meeting afterwards.
Oh, we do?
We do?
No, we don't.
We don't
Not
need one?
yet.
Not yet.
It's up to him.
It's up to him. Are we having a meeting afterwards, Elmer?
No.
Okay. Good, because then I don't need to be there. Thank you.
You will be chairing the